I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
I'm gonna be fine with your jokes, but I'm not sure about Dark Brandon.
Okay, let's do the intro really quick, and then we'll explain why we're here a bit later than usual. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, politics, and current events. And oh boy, okay, so I've had I had to go into work. I got called in because there was just like a huge shortage of people trying to get through dinner. So if I seem a bit flustered, that's why. Otherwise, how's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? Everyone doing good? Cool. Got a few things today. All right, so you kind of see the list. Yeah, let's oh my God, 1 second. I'm reading a headline. Box office, Barbie scores massive 93 million. Oppenheimer adds huge 46 million in second weekends. Wow, that's fucking crazy. That's gonna end up, I don't know what the numbers are for that so far, but either way, yeah, good for that movie. Anyway, yeah, shall we just get started? Okay, so I'm also gonna be eating dinner throughout. Just be aware of that. Oh, I just noticed my fucking thing is like about to fall. 1 second. I'm gonna fix that. There we go. Is that better? Oh no, now it's all like down. Oh dear, no. No. Where's the thing? We'll do this. Let's move my camera a little bit, shall we? Configure. You go over here so I can see the thing. What am I panning? Nope, not that one. Although we'll do that. There we go. Yeah? That looks... Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Sure? Yeah. Okay, sure. Why do I look... Okay, whatever. Looks fine to me. Wait. What does this do? That does literally nothing. Okay. Maybe... that looks good, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it looks fine. I look alright. You know, it's funny, I just noticed. Maybe I should put these over here. Maybe... Because you guys can't even see the... What's it called? Maybe... Oh, no. Okay, wait. We gotta, do the thing where you move them over. Nope. I guess that button doesn't do that anymore. Oh, that's where my head is, though. Okay, never mind. That's staying there for now. Maybe one day when I get more lights. Okay. Anyway, what was I gonna say? I'll probably be eating dinner because, again, I've just kind of been the last couple of hours, had to go run around, Anyway, let's get on with it. Okay, so, Elon Musk, he is the sole owner of what was formerly referred to as Twitter, and now referred to as X. I don't know. I guess the guy's a big fan of neopronouns. I'm not 100% sure. Elon Musk kind of markets himself as a free speech warrior, as a bulwark against the encroaching censorship of speech on the internet, which unfortunately kind of runs a bit contradictory to him suing a hate speech research group that's been monitoring Twitter and other social media. So let's go take a look. That seems like unreasonable, right? Like, you would think. I mean, we seem to be doing good work. It's good to know these sorts of things. Twitter threatens to sue hate speech research group over claims that hateful racist content has proliferated under Elon Musk's ownership. Elon Musk has taken legal action at the Center of Countering Digital Hate, an independent research nonprofit group, over the organization's findings that since the multi-billionaire acquired Twitter, now called X, hate, racism, and disinformation on the social media platform has substantially increased. Musk and his legal team, led by attorney Alex Spiro at Quinn Emanuel, have engaged in an aggressive campaign to intimidate, bully, and silence CCDH, or that's the Center for Countering Digital Hate. The organization sent a statement released Monday. While Elon Musk proclaims to be a, quote, free speech absolutist. Oh, I didn't even use that terminology, but I'm not surprised he feels that way. His actions against CCDH show the lengths he will go to silence those who seek to hold him to account. The CCDH recently published findings that Twitter failed to take action against 99 of 100 Twitter Blue accounts the organization reported for hate speech violations. A July 20th letter from Spiro to the organization called the CCDH research's false, misleading, or both. Who says or both? It's just whichever one you subscribe to, and said X Corp, the platform's parent company, is investigating whether CCDH's false and misleading claims about Twitter are actionable. I can almost guarantee you they're not. Under U.S. law prohibiting unfair competition, the company, he wrote, has, quote, reason to believe that CCDH is quote, supported by funding from X Corp's commercial competitors, as well as government entities and their affiliates. So literally doing the Fed op? Okay. Twitter takes its commitment to free speech and commitment to free speech, the enforcement of its rules. Let's zoom in a little bit. These old eyes. The enforcement of its rules, policies, and policies protecting users, and its strong relationship with its advertising partners, all extremely seriously. To the extent that CCDH is passing off as impartial, quote, research material that is in fact being funded in support of an ulterior agenda, your representations are all more misleading. Notice, okay, so do you notice that they haven't, that like nowhere in here did they challenge the validity of this? Just that like, hey, you might have taken money from people who would like to see the downfall of X or Twitter. Let's be honest. We're just gonna, you know what? Let's do it right now. We're not calling it X. It's Twitter. Fuck that. Because that's the thing. They'll say misleading, which, like, they don't provide any evidence for. And nowhere have they refuted any of these claims, just that it'd be really convenient for competitors for this to be true. Which, two things can be true at once. Twitter cannot be doing what it's supposed to be doing in terms of its what's the word I'm looking for? Moderation. And that can also be helpful to other rival companies. Like, those two things can be true and not necessarily connected. Let's see. Musk, in a post Monday about the brewing legal dispute. Oh, we'll take a look. Wrote, let's pull the mask off this organization. Okay, let's see. Let's pull the mask off this organization and see who's really behind it. Feds all the way down. Of course. Please do it. Like, what's funny is he says this, and it's like, he says this kind of LARPy bullshit. But at the end of the day, the organization is a non-profit. And like there's no there. It's just him being conspiratorial. Like, you take off the hood, the like mask here, and it would just be another mask, because there's not hiding anything. They're just revealing how poorly Twitter's moderation has been. And like, I don't spend enough time on Twitter to really be able to make this assessment, but like, I've heard enough people. Sorry, there's a lot of cat hair on that. I've heard enough people tell me and vocalize that like Twitter has become just an absolute cesspit of racists, of hate speech, of like just a lot of stuff. So, this all kind of tracks with what I've heard, at least, about it. I'm not a big Twitter account, so there's also that. But I'm not the most active on social media anyway. But in a letter dated July 31st to Spiro from Roberta Kaplan of Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, which is representing CCDH, wrote that the research group, quote, will not be bullied by your clients. Kaplan's letter did not address the group's sources of funding, but said, quote, your assertion that the goal in CCDH's research and reporting is to benefit Twitter's competitors ignores the fact that CCDH has published critical, highly publicized reports about other platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Yeah, at the end of the day, like, you would have to like, it'd be one thing if CCDH just randomly popped up and started reporting on Twitter, but they're not. They've been reporting on all these others. And like, again, since, if they've been doing this research, on like this ongoing research, then they should be able to tell you like, oh yeah, there's like this huge drop off when Musk took power, took control of Twitter. Your clients, of course, are free to pursue litigation if they choose to do so, but they should be mindful of the risks involved in bringing frivolous claims to intimidate thoughtful critiques and stifle legitimate commentary on issues of clear public interest. And they should also know that CCDH is fully prepared to defend itself and its ability to continue pursuing its public mission. If X Corp/Twitter decides to sue CCDH, Kaplan added in the letter, quote, "Please be advised that CCDH intends to seek immediate discovery regarding hate speech and misinformation on the Twitter platform, Twitter's policies, and the practices relating to these issues, and Twitter's advertising revenue. In that event, a court will determine for itself the truth of the statements in our client's reports in accordance with the time-tested rules of civil procedure." And damn. So, okay. So this is how you know that they're never going to take action and they're just going to bitch online about it. Because, if they did that, yes, this group would just demand that like all of Twitter's policy practices and everything else be dragged into the public sphere and made public record, which you can almost be guaranteed that Elon Musk does not want. And none of these companies want their, the way that they operate revealed to the public. It's just not something I think they're willing to risk. In its response, the CCDH also noted that Musk, in posts on Twitter, has called the organization evil and CEO Imran Ahmed a, quote, rat. Elon Musk, nice Jew posting there. Love that. Elon Musk's actions represent a brazen attempt to silence honest criticism and independent research in the desperate hope that he can stem the tide of negative stories and rebuild his relationship with advertisers. Imran Ahmed, CEO of the Center of CCDH, said in a statement, quote, "Advertisers are fleeing his platform for one clear reason. Elon Musk has supported the proliferation of hate and racism on it, and he doesn't care to stop it. Musk is targeting CCDH because we revealed the truth about the spread of hate and disinformation on Twitter under his ownership, and it's impacting his bottom line. CCDH will continue to hold social media companies that spread hate and disinformation online accountable to the public." Among the CCDH's research into Twitter, it has found that the volume of tweets containing slurs have risen by up to 202% since Musk's takeover of Twitter. The number of tweets linking LGBTQ plus people to, quote, grooming have more than doubled over that time, and that paid for verification is, quote, helping spread disinformation. Obviously, because if you can get your post, if the content of your post you can get boosted just by paying your little $8 a month to your digital daddy, then like, yeah, you're gonna do that so that you can spread more of this shit. Lovely, just lovely system they've got over there at Twitter. Musk has hired ex-NBC Universal ad exec Linda Yaccarino as Twitter's CEO, hoping to reverse the company's dramatic drop in ad revenue. In a July 15th tweet, Musk said Twitter's cash flow remains negative because of an approximately 50% decline in advertising revenue and a heavy debt load. Twitter has claimed that hate speech occurs at extremely low rates on the platform and estimates that hate speech impressions have declined 30% since Musk took over Twitter. Well, what's funny is like, if at the end of the day, Elon Musk brought back a bunch of, like, didn't he allow Nick Fuentes back on the platform and a bunch of other people who were banned for, hate speech and stuff like that? So the idea that it somehow dropped when you brought those people back, and like even after you bring those kinds of folks back, like is insane. Obviously that wouldn't be the case. But this is, again, like, they've said this is their numbers, but obviously they would want their numbers to be low. It's kind of like, yeah, you were gonna lie. You were always gonna lie. Like, why would you be honest to begin with? Let's see. More than 99% of content users and advertisers see on Twitter is healthy. The Twitter X, 99%. Okay. Trust me, not, for the accounts that I follow, that damn sure is not the case at all. In a July 18th post. According to Twitter, it has applied warning labels to more than 700,000 posts, violated its hate speech conduct policy since April, and that it, quote, proactively prevents ads from appearing adjacent to content that we label. Sure it does. Twitter said that in March of 2023, it partnered with social media management vendor Sprinkler without the E. God, why is every company just like, oh, a normal word, but we'll just take out one letter? To, quote, understand, measure, and reduce hate speech using its AI-based model, and to further our commitment to create a brand-safe environment for our agencies and advertisers. According to the company, Sprinkler's independent model showed that daily English language hate speech impressions are even lower than Twitter's own model estimates. Sprinkler estimated the average daily number of hate speech impressions versus overall impressions to be 0.003% compared with Twitter's estimate of 0.012 for the record for the period of January 1st through May 31st, 2023. Okay, so we've seen this before. Do you remember when Norfolk Southern hired a third-party company to do testing of the water, and it came back that, hey, guess what? The water is totally clean. And then like normal people would like drink the water, get sick, have consistent symptoms like across like multiple different families. And they would go, wait, everyone's obviously getting sick from the same water source. What do you mean it's safe? And we all understand that Norfolk Southern didn't want to do the testing themselves, or at the very least might not have probably had the resources. So what do? They hired a private company to come in, do the tests, and give them the results that they were looking for. Because that, like, the customers in that case are Norfolk Southern. The customers for whatever that testing company was, those aren't like civil servants. Those people's customers aren't the citizens in that region. Their customers are Norfolk Southern. So they are going to give Norfolk Southern the thing that they are looking for. And we see this all, and that's no different than this. This is just at the end of the day, a company wanting to get a certain answer. So they hire some other group to do the test and give them the answer that they want. That's not really anything different. This isn't a group that studies, everybody. This is just a group to validate the claims that Twitter wants to make, usually kind of lowballing them even more than what Twitter says. It's a pretty easy grift, quite frankly. But just let it be known that at the end of the day, Twitter's CEO Elon Musk is not interested in free speech. He's not interested in the broad ability for people to communicate online freely. He's not interested in whatever woke mind virus thing he was talking about a couple months ago. No. Let's be clear. Elon Musk is interested in bilking money from people who have a really weird affinity for him online. That's why he moved the blue check to a paywall. That's why there's been almost no meaningful improvement to the actual site. Twitter since Elon Musk took control of it has not improved for daily users, has only become more paywalled, and has now become like a pay to play or a pay to win service. Like with his with the move to trying to move Twitter into becoming X or whatever, it's become kind of clear he wants to be another PayPal. He wants to be taking a couple cents out of every transaction that everybody could possibly be making around the world. That's the overall goal. This is just make some money off of a bunch of stooges who are willing to give me $8 for a blue check mark and some preferential treatment, when before you could just get a blue check mark if you were notable and had a verified email. But again, all it is paywalling content. This is if you love your live service video games, then you'll love Twitter. But I don't suppose most people's favorite thing about video games these days are those live service elements. Oh my goodness. But no well. So, are you guys aware that we have a border? We have a border to this country. At the top and at the bottom. The bottom, there's this country. It's called Mexico. And at the top, it's this country called Canada. Now, the Canadian border, you don't really see a lot of people talk about, mainly because Canada is, I would suppose they're like a first world country, right? I wouldn't say they're second. They're obviously not third, but like either way, Canada on par with us. You don't hear a lot about the treatment of immigrants coming in from Canada. What you do hear a lot about is the treatment of immigrants coming from South America, coming from Mexico through the Mexican border. I told you I'd be eating. I haven't eaten all day. To which ProPublica, wonderful investigative journalism hub. No, wait, was this ProPublica? Sorry, The Intercept. Wrong one. The Intercept, also lovely journalistic publication. Investigated and were able to take pictures of migrants being held at the southern border in Arizona, outside in the broiling heat. Now, if you're an American, you've probably noticed it's fucking hot out lately, right? It is broiling out there. Like, every single day, there's an air quality warning. Every single day, there's like a UV warning. Everyone's saying stay inside, stay near your AC, everything else, right? So, if you're a Border Patrol officer, you think to yourself, all right, so we got a lot of these migrants here who are kind of, you know, in between like legality in terms of the country and all this stuff. What should, you know, there's a heat wave going on in the country. What should we do? What should we do about these people? They've been outside probably for a majority of the trip up here to the country. What do we do? Well, they've decided to just kind of house them outside. So, Border Patrol is caging migrants outdoors during deadly Arizona heat wave. Oh yeah, and keep in mind, Arizona, fucking hell itself, Arizona. No. Anyway, U.S. Border Patrol is holding migrants in an outdoor pen in a deadly stretch of the Arizona desert amid a record-setting heat wave. Photos taken by The Intercept reveal. On Thursday afternoon, The Intercept observed roughly 50 migrants confined in a chain-link pen at the Ojo Border Patrol Station, a highly remote outpost 2 hours west of Tucson, from a ridge overlooking the Border Patrol's facility. The migrants could be seen gathered under a carport-like structure, crowding themselves into a single narrow strip of shade to escape the desert sun. The only furniture available was a short stack of metal bleachers, baking in the extreme heat. Oh yeah, If you've ever been to a football game or something during maybe at your high school, you know how fucking boiling these get in the summer. Lovely. Just one day earlier, Tucson set a new record with 11 consecutive days of temperatures exceeding 111 degrees, and surrounding areas have been even hotter, with Thursday's high hitting 114 degrees. The U.S. Border Patrol has surged personnel and transportation resources in recent weeks to respond to a significant increase in encounters near Ajo, Arizona, some of the hottest, most isolated and dangerous areas in the southwest border, where individuals have been callously sent by smuggling organizations to walk for miles, often with little or no water. A spokesperson for Customs and Border Protection, the agency that oversees the Border Patrol, said in a statement to The Intercept Friday night. So, okay, let's think about this for a second. We are the United States, right? And, right now there are people coming across being, shepherded essentially through our border into the country by, smuggling organizations, probably by cartels, so that they can, traffic whatever drugs, whatever it is that they're doing, right? And instead of treating these people humanely, right? Because they've already been, and let's be honest here, if you're dealing with the cartels, probably threatened with your life if you don't participate. If you don't help them, then, your family will stay in whatever dire situation, dire country that they're in, and most likely be targets for cartel violence. So on top of that, you come here, you're picked up by Border Patrol, and then what? Then you're fucking slow roasted, sun dried as an alternative? Like, what's the point of any of this? And I think the point's obvious. The point is the cruelty. The cruelty is the point. For Border Patrol, why you'd leave these people out here, I have no fucking clue. At the end of the day, their situation isn't getting any better. Certainly, their situation, arguably might be worse. At least when they were free, to walk, they'd make it somewhere. Eventually, there'd be some kind of safety, some kind of shade to get to. This is just holding people. And this is, I think, kind of the, when Republicans talk about there being consequences for people illegally crossing the border or, somebody overstaying your visa or whatever. This is the kind of like sick shit that they think when they think consequences. Not like, maybe you get arrested, go to a normal facility. No, our version of like, should have thought about the consequences are we're going to literally bake you alive. So far, it doesn't seem like there's been any deaths, but am I going to find it shocking when somebody finally does die in their custody? It's just, there's no reason for this. Absolutely. There's no need for this kind of just fucking cruelty. Border Patrol, quote, is prioritizing expeditiously transporting non-citizens encountered in this desert environment, which is particularly dangerous during current weather conditions, to USBP facilities where individuals can receive medical care, food, water. Statement continued. CBP did not answer several specific questions from the intercept, including how long people are being kept outside in the heat, whether children are among those who have been kept outside, and whether anyone held outside has required emergency medical care. The agency did, however, reiterate its standard practice to provide medical screenings for migrants upon arrival to the Ajo State. I think I've said it like 3 different times now. Ajo Station, and said that migrants held outside are provided with a large canopy, large fans, hot meals, water, bathrooms. Now, does this look like, what was that list? What was it? I'm sorry. Canopy, large fans, bathroom. What does that look like? Any of these things? I see one big ass fan, which everybody needs to fucking like pull up, like fucking huddle up to. Yeah, there's some cases of fucking Walmart water. I don't see a bathroom. Like what? Like the fact that you would try to lie and protect canopy. Look how much fucking how little coverage this gives you. This it's not even a dome. It's just one thing and that's it. Yeah, look at this. But this doesn't do anything for you. God forbid if, I don't know, the sun fucking moves. Oh man, guys, we got you guys a canopy when the sun is like right above you guys. Oh, we live on a fucking round earth and it will simply continue to move east to west. Like, okay, let's see. No such canopy was visible during the intercept's observation. Yeah, this will what I'm trying to think what canopy? What would even a canopy look like in this scenario? I mean, I think that's what they're literally talking about. Like, I think I have no doubt this is the canopy they're specifically referencing. Roughly 50 migrants stand caged in an outdoor pen in the record-breaking heat at Ajo Border Patrol Station in Y, Arizona. Like, this is the conditions we put fucking factory farmed animals in. Jesus. Quote, we were absolutely horrified at learning about how people are being treated at the border wall and the Ajo Border Patrol Station. It is inhumane. This is the subject. This is abject mismanagement of the situation that could have been predicted and should have been planned for. Morgan Rifle, a volunteer with the Phoenix branch of No More Deaths and the Aho Samaritans, two groups that provide humanitarian aid in the Sonoran Desert, said in a statement to The Intercept, the lack of resources equates to neglect and is at the point of extreme physical endangerment and abuse. Yeah, like, at the end of the day, if we saw this anywhere, if anybody ever tells you that they're concerned about, like, you know, China's treatment of, like, Uyghur Muslims or whatever, point them at this direction. Fucking baking migrants alive. We hear from other involved humanitarian aid groups that many agents on the ground want the resources to adequately take care of folks. Yet it seems that upper management is failing to address the situation to the point of indifference. The Border Patrol station in Aho can process a few hundred people a day, and on Monday, upward of 800 to 1,000 people turned themselves in at the border wall, said a second humanitarian volunteer who asked not to be named and has spent weeks providing aid at the border wall south of Aho. Quote, if you have a better idea what they should do, bring it, he said, referring to the Border Patrol. They're out of buses, they're out of equipment. I can imagine they would put people out in the parking lot if they have to. I don't know they had a choice. And, like, let's be clear. Like, there's an element to this of, like, oh, well, you know, maybe, they really want to, they want to do right by these people. They don't want to do this specifically. Oh, there's the porta potties. Oh, lovely fucking porta potties. Okay, I see them over to the left there. Lovely, amazing. People got to live with disgusting fucking porta potties. Great. But no, like, this is at the end of the day, like, that would be pretending that there's, like, no way to come to a solution to this. Oh, I should probably go dark mode. As if there's no way to fix this. That, like, oh, the Biden administration can't do anything. Oh, the Arizona, like, Arizona doesn't have the resources to give to Border Patrol. Like, it's just too many different organizations, too many different governmental bodies just can't seem to figure out how to fund a proper holding station for people that doesn't, like, fucking roast them. Oh, it doesn't fucking Pillsbury toast their ass. Like fucking toaster strudels sitting out here waiting to fucking burn. Christ. Southwest is currently experiencing what the National Weather Service has described as, quote, a dangerous, long-lived, and record-breaking heat wave. In recent days, much of southern Arizona, including the Ajo area, has been under an excessive heat warning, putting everyone at significantly higher risk or increased risk for high heat-related illnesses. The NWS recommends that people in the area stay in air-conditioned rooms and take extra precautions when spending time outdoors. On Wednesday, officials in Maricopa County, north of Ajo, reported that at least 18 people have died from heat in Phoenix this year, with 69 other cases under investigation. In the desert to the south, the extreme heat makes an already deadly landscape all the more lethal. On Friday, Humane Borders, a nonprofit group that provides water for migrants crossing the desert and works with the Office of Pima County Medical Examiner to map migrant deaths, reported the recovery of 13 sets of human remains on the border in the past month, including 4 people who had died within a day of their discovery. Over the past 2.5 decades, the Medical Examiner's office in Tucson has logged more than 4,000 migrant deaths in southern Arizona, a figure that border researchers widely agree is an undercount. The rugged terrain surrounding the Ajo Border Patrol station, known as Arizona's West Desert, is notorious for being the state's most lethal region in response to the recent arrivals. In response to the recent arrivals and the surging heat, Humane Borders has set up aid stations near the border wall south of Ajo, but the group, along with the Border Patrol, has been struggling to meet the demand, said the volunteers who had been providing aid there. They cross between 1 and 3 in the morning. A majority of the border patrol is in a race to get them out of there before it gets hot. The volunteer said the optics of the migrants being held in pens are terrible, but the alternative is pulling dead bodies out of the desert. He said, "That's what I did last weekend." Like, Jesus. The Intercept observed conditions at the Ajo facility for more than an hour as the temperatures hovered around 108 degrees. During that time, Border Patrol agents lined up approximately 30 men and marched them to another area of the facility, leaving roughly as many people behind. Those people were still standing in the heat when the intercept left the scene. Large floodlights above the enclosure suggested it was also being used for overnight detention. Though most of the detained migrants appeared to be men, and the ages and genders of everyone inside the pen were impossible to determine at a distance. Few, if any, of the people had hats and other sun protective clothing. Most wore t-shirts. Some were shirtless. At least one large fan and misting machine were visible at the enclosure's edge, but both were positioned in full sunlight and directed towards the metal bleachers. Scores of empty plastic water bottles littered the ground. At one point, a vulture circled overhead. Jesus Christ. And like, okay, so if I'm really being charitable, because if that is, if the nonprofit group and like Border Patrol are trying to work together as best they can, then like, I suppose that's like good. And like, I'm happy that Border Patrol isn't like reveling in this, but keep in mind, like, this isn't like a problem that we can't fix. Somewhere along the chain of command, somewhere along the lines, there simply isn't a reason for this. There simply isn't an argument for holding people under these kinds of conditions. There's quite a lot of, I think, derision people hold towards Border Patrol and also ICE. I think ICE is actually maybe the one I've been like thinking or characterizing more in my head than Border Patrol. But yeah, like it's just the way that we don't prioritize these people's safety is the real damning part. Whatever people come over illegally, whatever. Like, I'm not nearly as concerned about that as I am for these people's safety. And that, quite frankly, I think is the more important part of all of this. But yeah, and it doesn't really seem like Biden's doing very much now, is he? I mean, let's see if I do Biden border patrol. Let's take a look. Let's see if crossings drop, legal challenges over Biden's U.S.-Mexico border policies grow. Let's take a look at this article really quick from AP. When was this posted? July 27th. Okay. Immigration advocates said Thursday that an online appointment system to seek asylum at the U.S. border with Mexico is out of reach for many migrants. And the latest legal challenge to the Biden administration's immigration agenda. The lawsuit says that the administration, often working with Mexican authorities, has physically blocked migrants from claiming asylum at land crossings with Mexico unless they have an appointment through the CBP-1 app. It says that the app is, quote, impossible for those with inferior internet access, language difficulties, or lack of technical know-how. Appointments are capped at $14.50 a day. Wait, they have to get like a fucking app to like, dude, what? They're not waiting for fucking tickets to fucking a concert. They're trying to flee their country of origin. CBP-1 essentially creates an electronic wait list that restricts access to the U.S. asylum process to a limited number of privileged migrants, according to the lawsuit by advocacy groups Al Horta Lado and the Haitian Bridge Alliance, and would be asylum seekers from Mexico, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Russia, who say they couldn't get appointments while waiting in Mexico. More than 38,000 people were processed for entry using CBP-1 in June, and more than 170,000 got appointments during the first 6 months of the year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection said last week. Wait, 38 people were processed in June? But what? Over the last 6 months, the first 6 months of the year, they've done 170, which means what? The rest of the months are made up by, what is that number? 62, what? 132,000 appointments over the course of the other 5 months? Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Immigration agenda. Let's see. Global diplomacy. Yeah. On President Joe Biden's first day in office, he handed Congress a legislative plan to modernize the nation's immigration system, it went nowhere, just like so many past overhaul attempts. Meanwhile, the number of migrants illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexican border climbed to record highs, and so did the backlog of cases in the nation's immigration court system. Title 42 emergency health powers that allowed border officials to turn away many migrants were sure to end as the coronavirus pandemic eased, and Congress couldn't agree on even simple questions like whether the U.S. should let in more people or fewer. So administration officials went looking outside of the U.S. for solutions, seeking to portray immigration not as one of America's most intractable problems, but as an issue for the entire Western Hemisphere to address. Lovely. Just absolutely lovely. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest immigration person. It's just it's complicated, and I think a lot of it also like just has to do with being humane, in my opinion. That's like a lot of it. But also I don't really like get the I guess I have a minor understanding as to why people are concerned about immigration to this country. At the end of the day, immigrants put in a lot more into the system than they take out. They get nothing out of the sales tax that they pay. They get nothing out of the Social Security taxes that they pay. Like, they just don't get anything out of any of that stuff. But anyway, okay. Let me take a bite of my sandwich real quick, and then we'll continue. Yeah. I should do this. Wait. No. Let's stop. I'm always like wondering if I should be in just chatting or be in the politics category on Twitch. Mainly because like it's like one of those things where I personally am like, well, I like to be honest, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem like anybody else gives like even a quarter shit. So part of me is kind of like, why bother on my end? But anyway. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? All right. So, you ever been to a library? They have a lot of books there. It's like a place where people seek knowledge. And because of that, Republicans fucking hate libraries, quite frankly. They have been targeting libraries throughout the country in their states. So let's take a little bit of a look at that, shall we? From the American Prospect, the war on libraries. Houston is a city with a diverse progressive electorate and an African-American mayor, Sylvester Turner. So it was bizarre when the new superintendent of the Houston Independent School District, Mike Miles, recently announced plans to fire librarians at dozens of schools, while converting libraries into discipline rooms for misbehaving students. The repurposed libraries will be called, quote, team centers, where closely monitored students join their classes by Zoom. Librarian positions are being initially eliminated at 28 schools as part of Miles' new education system, or the NES. Hey, the NES. Which includes mandated lesson plans for teachers, classroom cameras for discipline, and testing-based performance evaluations that affect teacher pay. This is just fucking lovely. The libraries at those schools will stay partly open, but schools will weed out objectionable books. The district, largest in Texas, serves 189,000 students. Oh, well, this is lovely. I'm kind of wondering who this fucker is. How could this have happened in progressive Houston? If you made a wild guess at the state administration of Texas Governor of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, used a ploy to take over the local school system. You guessed right. The ACLU is looking into a suit. Miles, oh, buddy, I wonder if this is, I remember we looked at, well, those were election laws, in Texas. We should probably look those up, actually. Texas, what was it? HB, oh boy, I'd have to remember the number. Let's see, election, not results. We're looking for, I'll look into it another time. Let's continue. Let's see, into a suit. Miles was appointed Houston school superintendent on June 1st by Texas Education Commissioner Mike Morath, who also replaced the district's 9 elected trustees with the state-appointed board of managers, alleging mismanagement and, quote, failing schools. The plan, which takes effect in the coming school year, also includes elimination of 2,347 school jobs and more cuts in libraries. So lovely. We're going to cut a bunch of jobs at schools. We're going to cut a bunch at libraries. And, when the school system actually begins to fail, we'll move it towards a privatized system. That's going to be the goal. Let's be really clear. That's going to be the overall goal in Texas by the end of this. The Houston takeover is part of two far-right patterns in which neo-fascist administrations try to compensate for the fact that they are losing public opinion by destroying democracy and imposing thought control. Demonizing libraries is one part of the scheme. Using state preemption to override local city governments is another. In Arkansas, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a law due to take effect August 1st, which allows criminal prosecutions against librarians and booksellers. Wait, booksellers? Wait a minute. Booksellers. Let's see. A coalition that included Central Library says Little Rocket Challenge law saying the fear of prosecution. Arkansas is temporarily blocking from enforcing a law that would have allowed criminal charges against librarians and booksellers for providing harmful. The question we had to ask was, do Arkansans still legally have access to reading materials? Luckily, the judicial system. Jesus. Wait, no, but I want to see the original source on that. Attorneys over use of minors in new Arkansas library law. Scheduled to take effect. Lawsuit which challenges the constitutionality of 2 of the law's 6 sections. Contested sections of the plaintiffs during the question. Attorneys for the defense. Okay. God, that's fucking wordy. But that's like nuts. The idea that like if you're like a Barnes and Noble or something, you could be criminally prosecuted for providing, quote, harmful materials to minors. Which, like, let's be clear, is it like providing is doing so much fucking work here, because what's in a library and what's in a Barnes and Noble isn't always 100% for kids, because not everything in every store is for kids. But like the idea that you'd say providing is like, oh, well, you stock it, therefore you're providing it for the, like, it's a distinction without a difference. For now, in response to the suit brought by Little Rock Library System, the ACLU and others, U.S. District Court Judge Timothy Brooks issued an injunction blocking the law from taking effect. But this case and others like it will eventually get to the Supreme Court, another center of far-right takeover. And good luck to that. Laws restricting access to certain materials, such as those with LGBTQ themes, are allowing court challenges to them, have been enacted in several other states, including Iowa, Indiana, and Texas. Meanwhile, right-wing state governments are becoming more flagrant and cynical in their use of state preemption to block progressives from using home rules in areas as far-flung as minimum wage ordinances, paid sick leave, gun control, climate initiatives, and rent control. Some of this state preemption, driven by corporate lobbyists, has occurred in relatively liberal states. So let's also keep in mind that, like, what's mostly happening is you have, like, you have Houston, right? A pretty blue city, surrounded and in a state that is rather deep red, with pockets of Democratic support. And what you have here is their ability to self-govern in the city of Houston be stripped from them by the state government. This is no different than every single, like, think about every single Republican who decries, big government, who decries the ability for the federal government to come in here in this state and tell us what to do. Us here in Texas, we know how we do things here, and we should not have to listen to the federal government when we've decided, the people of our state have decided what we would like to do in our state. Like, that's the argument we hear all the fucking time from these people. That, you gotta let the states make their own decisions on certain things. You gotta do this. You gotta let them self-govern at that level, right? But do they respect any of that on the state level? When the governor's house is housed by a Republican, do they give a shit about self-governing in a blue city, in a blue municipality? Fuck no. And that's how you know that these people don't actually care about any of that shit. Because what they're interested in is power at the end of the day. What they are fascists. Greg Abbott is a fascist. A completely unremarkable one. Somebody who is, like, let's be honest, to a man, uninteresting. He's just some old fuck. You see Greg Abbott and you just think senility. Like, Greg Abbott looks like every caricature of, like, the big Texas senator who's, like, obviously corrupt for, like, big oil and probably is married to his like sister or step cousin or something, or like cousin or something. But, like, that's like the vibe you get from this guy. But at the end of the day, this is the stuff that he spends his time trying to pass. And like, we looked a little bit not too long ago, we looked at their how they're going to attempt to steal the election going forward in Texas. We'll look it up after this, I guess. But, like, we already found out that they rigged certain rules, and that the governor's office, or the governor appointed official, takes over the election process of one county, which is the county that Houston resides in. It's the only one that it applies to, if there are questions about it. And, like, it's really vague, and the bar is set so incredibly low that there's almost no chance that they're going to use this to invalidate the largest city in Texas's votes. That's just kind of obvious. They are just going to throw out enough votes to the point that it's a landslide victory in the next election, in Texas. That's just kind of seems like the way it's going to go. And again, we'll take a look to see if that actually got through. I have no reason to believe it won't, but we'll find out. Let's see. But this case in life will eventually get to the Supreme Court. Right. Meanwhile, right-wing state governments are becoming... Oh, wait, I read that one already. Massachusetts, for instance, goes beyond federal law with paid sick leave, but has blocked localities from banning natural gas hookups on new construction. A long-sought climate goal to promote the shift from fossil fuels to electricity. More far-right state governments have blocked a broad range of city climate laws, including limits on plastic bags, pesticides, and fracking. I recently wrote a piece pointing out that the efforts by right-wing state governments to hunt down women who cross state lines to seek abortion feels increasingly like the 1850s, the era of the Fugitive Slave Act, the Underground Railroad, and eventually the Civil War. But our uncivil wars between states and cities goes deeper than that. And like the run-up to 1860, when slave states and their allies in the federal courts protected slavery by crushing democracy, the struggle will either end with the victory of democracy on all fronts or its defeat. Who was this? Robert Kuttner? Look at that guy. Look at that writer guy. Looks like such a writer guy. Jesus. So, I guess what's the thing to take away from this? So let's keep in mind, folks. Local elections matter. As a leftist, as somebody who promotes left of center political causes, I think it's prudent for me to say and remind people that get involved on the local level. If you really want to make a difference in a way that's, I think, a little bit more tangible, and I think a little bit more fulfilling, because what we kind of fall into a trap, I think, is every 4 years, it's like time to run, a new candidate, a new, who's the progressive who's going to run, since Bernie, who's going to be the progressive to kind of take up that mantle, right? And like on an energy level, it's like, yeah, I understand that that's like when the most eyes are on everything, right? But and it's also the thing that I think people are most equipped to calculate. Like they understand that, okay, I knocked on some doors, a lot of people are going to vote in the presidential election. My guy wins. There's this possibility that all these things change. And I think it's very tangible. It's very easy to kind of feel that like that change is coming or feel that that progress. But I think that's kind of fleeting. After Bernie Sanders lost in 2020, we've seen the progressive movement just kind of, I think, flounder a bit under the and I don't even mean, and when I say progressive movement, I don't mean members and activists within DSA or any other organizations. I mean the kind of progressive population, like the people who go online and say I'm a progressive, say I'm a leftist, people who go out into the world and see themselves as ideologically to the left, and that's kind of it, like they don't see a lot of it manifesting. They don't, and with that, you think like, all right, well, in a couple years we'll get our bite at the apple, and because I think this year is not, we're not really getting a bite at the apple this year, and that's a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Demoralizing, I think. But always keep in mind and keep an eye on your local DSA chapter, your local elections. These are places where you can see and feel real tangible change, and where like, the small thing of knocking on doors for a presidential candidate means so much more on the local level. It like your power level increases so much more when you do that on the local level. So, and this is the thing. And the reason why I bring that up mainly is because the Republicans understand this. The far right fascists, they understand this. They fight tooth and nail for every local win they can get, because they know that those are, while small victories, those are also a lot cheaper, and they're a lot easier to kind of get people to feel the change, right? You can't really feel the earth moving, but you can feel an earthquake in your local area, right? So, I mean, we need to be better about that. We need to be more disciplined about our activism and our advocacy being a 365 day participation. And that's hard. I get that that's hard. Not everybody, we all have jobs. We all have everything else going in life. I ran on here right after being called in because there was we had a lot of call outs and they were really, really struggling. So like I ran in to help out, and then I ran back home, jumped on stream. And I get that that stuff's hard. And I'm not the best. I'm not the best member of DSA here in Denver. Absolutely not. Possibly one of the worst. I try where I can, but like, the days for doing this stuff, not always days that I'm not working and stuff like that. But like, try a little bit and try a little bit more after that. These people never go to sleep without trying to wake up the next day. And like, I just want people to try as hard to defend democracy here in the United States, as hard as people who want to genocide trans people, take away the subvert democracy, everything else. And like, it's always going to be harder for us. And I think accepting that is also a big part of this. Is it's like we kind of got to accept that we play life on hard mode. I like, not even hard mode. It's like nightmare. We as leftists, we play on nightmare difficulty. And we can either, continue to, want things to be easier, continue to like, it just, if it was just more fair, everything else. We just gotta work harder. And it's not always easy, but little steps. Get involved locally. That will energize you, I think, more consistently than a lot of the stuff. Than like, so hyper focusing on presidential elections all the time. And whatnot. Anyway, how do we we have the fun half, right? Right. That's what's next. All right, cool. So we're gonna shift. We'll see you in the I'll see all of you in the fun half. And then I'm gonna try to like eat really quickly in the 45 seconds I got. So we'll be right back.
So do not shop at Target, or else you're gay.
Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes.
Just to simplify this, I think we're just going to use your...
I may keep the pantyhose on. It does feel kind of good, actually.
Larger than that, Charlie. I live like a capitalist every single day.
Beat it up, N-word.
What is more important? You are culture. That's a joker.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I like black guys a lot.
The alpha males are back.
All right. We're back. All right. All right. So, I've talked a little bit about Andrew Tate before on here. And, nice. What's the word I'm looking for? There's apparently a female version. I saw Ethan like body the shit out of this girl. Like what was that? Maybe a month ago? Maybe like in June? Maybe it was the beginning of the month of July. Who knows? And I guess she went up on Piers Morgan's show. Now Piers Morgan, a British conservative shithead, dumbass Tory, all the above. Not exactly the most like not something that not somebody that I would find myself aligned with, and not somebody I think is particularly smart either. But like, man, I heard a little bit about this. I was kind of like thinking about doing something fun, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's take a look at this apparently evisceration.
About two peers organisation, Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should.
Okay, let me just say from the outset, you look insane.
Vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So,
cool. So, I guess the question becomes, what the fuck does any of that have to do with one's participation in a democracy? Like, what? Okay. And like, this is the thing. She's not serious, right? Like, I've seen her, I watched that Ethan video, that debate she had with Ethan, and it doesn't really seem like she has opinions, does it? She's just kind of, she just kind of says whatever thing will get her a lot of attention and clicks, which, I mean, something to be said about the clickbait culture. But like, I guess I kind of fail to see why you'd bother hosting this person, especially on like Piers Morgan's a pretty, well paid and like up there in terms of like media kind of guy. It's kind of shocking that you'd bother having somebody so vapidly dumb and like devoid of ideas, but of opinions, I guess. But it's is what it is, I guess.
Oh, I understand the complaint.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it.
Also, Andrew Tate never tells people to not participate in democracy. I don't even know what that means. Andrew Tate is about being incredibly gay with your homies. Like, how, is it like she says the same stuff, or she's like communicating the same thing? Because again, Andrew Tate doesn't say. I mean, I guess Andrew Tate says that women shouldn't vote, but again, I don't know. It's just I feel like her messaging is different. Her angle isn't the same as like Andrew Tate's is all about like, again, being gay with your friend with your homies, but we're weird.
Take it as a compliment. I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he said?
Why?
It depends what we're talking about, but overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
God.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right.
Oh yeah, didn't she like get in trouble for making like a Jew song or whatever? Like, yeah, she's just here for attention. But okay.
To vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, I started reading their writings, right? And
that's what they say. Okay.
I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. Before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, I
also, do you think she's okay? Let's tease this out a bit. When she says I read their writings, do you think she read like a comprehensive collection of like, writings from women at that time, or did she find the specific women who were perfectly fine with the absence of women's suffrage because they probably had, power or influence or wealth already? Most likely, if you're a woman, much like the house Negro, if you're a woman of high status in a hyper patriarchal society, you probably have no interest in converting to a system, to a format where everybody is allowed the ability to participate, because in that scenario, you are no longer now preferenced. Like, you would want to keep it that way. The same way, like, no house Negro ever thought to himself, boy, that freedom would sound good. No, they never thought that. Why would they? They get preferential treatment. They've been plucked from the system to be the special, the one. They get to be the exception. So, of course, they'd want to keep their status. At the end of the day, like, what people say, what individuals write isn't all that important when we're talking about a like incredibly large, like populous sociological event, which is the women's suffrage.
I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
What's that got to do with them having the vote?
Also, keep in mind this is
it also goes
a
back to
white woman,
probably
somebody who isn't like
again,
poor,
men
wanting to hold on to her
80% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run.
Cool.
So I just think if we
and why and why is that? Could that be because women don't have, I don't know, maybe the option to be those things? It's really funny because they'll be like, oh, who, like, I've heard this argument before where people say, who gave women the right to vote? I think Ben made this argument. Who gave women the right to vote? A bunch of men, huh? Well, too bad all men voted for women's suffrage. To which one would ask, quick question. Who was restricting women from being able to voice their opinion in a democracy? Was that men? And only what? Less than 100 of them needed to vote to decide. It only took for hundreds of years, women didn't have the right to vote. And, for hundreds of years, they could have solved that problem with, the Senate passing a bill. And they chose not to for that entire time. And then suddenly men just decided, I guess we'll throw them a bone. I'm sick and tired of my wife staying at home and only birthing my child and making me a sandwich. I think we should give them their rights. No, that's not what happened. Like, women fought for those rights through through activism. Like, and again, it's like, oh, well, men do all this stuff. Men run the infrastructure. Men are all in the military. Yeah, we do live under a patriarchy. This is incredibly true. I wonder, is there a reason why men do all of those things? Could there possibly be a reason why that is the status quo as it is?
We want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S.,
we literally don't allow them to. Only since I think 2013 did we allow women on the front lines. So you're arguing against yourself. See, what you don't understand is that there's the patriarchal system in the United States subjugates women as second-class citizens in minor ways now than they did before, but certainly in enough ways. And socially, we just don't allow women to progress into certain positions in not just the economy, but in our society. And then what? And then you turn around and go, oh, well, if women really want to be equal, then we should be 50% of the military. Do you not think that if men would allow women to do so, if there weren't barriers for women to enter the military, that we wouldn't see that number? Come on. Also, bitch, why are you not in the military then? What the fuck are you doing with your long hair and fucking pearls? Get your ass on the fucking drop and give me fucking 80. I don't know. Fucking get your ass onto the battlefield then. Fuck shit.
they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have?
I'm just going to say patriarchy, which is again a structure intended to preference males specifically. And because of that, but unfortunately, the patriarchy also cuts against, the patriarchy is a double-edged sword. Because in one way, men get a lot of, they get to be the center of society. They get to run everything, make all decisions, all the rest of that shit. The other half of that is, oh, guess what? Your bitch ass gets to go and fucking die in needless wars. That's the other half of it. Oh, along with all sorts of other stuff. But, that's patriarchy, dumbass. That's what you're actually mad about.
Have to do with family cohesion, for example.
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped.
But there are two people.
I know.
But there are two people who live in the country.
The stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean,
allegedly. What do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking
you
about,
could have just made it up.
women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. That's incorrect. The first female property. The first
about?
female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women.
The idea. Okay. What's up, Ramon? Okay. The idea that you're gonna sit here and tell me, hey, whoa. The first woman got to own something all the way in 1600. Let alone, let's ignore the other 1,599 years. Come on, guys. 60. Come on now. Oh my God. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, not only that, but this is like the fanciful idea that like a woman president solves all women's issues or something. This is fucking idiotic. Like, whoa. A woman, a woman in 1600 owned something once, probably a slave, most likely. Like, whoa, crazy. Did that change the experiences of women across the nation or the world? No. Oh my God.
Couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that will be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
Late 18. It only took us to the late 1800s for a woman to make like $1 million, which again, it's like make, or was that inherited after her husband died, or because she was like a princess? Like, come the fuck on.
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it
and
was.
She never inherited land.
Yes, she did not
and
inherit
what law
it.
permitted that?
What?
I need a name. I need a name.
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in
let's
history.
Let's get on to the
Yeah,
votes.
influential isn't the same thing as equal, dipshit.
I've researched today.
There are queens. Queens have never been equal to kings. Like, the fuck are you talking about?
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
Well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't
Care
made
about
the
women
point
too,
yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're...
You know, I'm just going to tell all fellas out there, this is some free advice, guys. If you ever, one second. If you ever, fellas out there, all the guys out there, my mans, my dudes, my guys, if you ever vote to repeal women's voting rights in this country, I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to wish for the days that we live in right now. All of your struggles with dating, with women, you know, all them issues, trust me, the pussy ain't gonna be easier after they can't vote. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You, like repeal that at your own libido's risk. Good God.
Giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of that.
Well,
then,
wait. How can two people be equal when one
Please apply for the
gets...
oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open. They're high.
Does she think that no woman has ever applied to an oil rig? Does she really think that's literally never happened? No, people do, and bosses, managers see a woman and go, no, I don't want that on my rig. It's that simple.
Because I don't equate for, I don't think men and women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on. Also,
why am I equal to a man who works on a rig? I work in a kitchen. We have completely different sets of skills. Like to a rig worker, to a fucking oil rig worker, I work in like a floofy ass kitchen. Like I have an easy job. And like to me, a fucking coder has some like easy bullshit job. Like how am I equal to any of them? What does employment have to do with equality? People do a range of jobs. The goal is to do a job that like you enjoy personally, not
on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have
literally
equal
never
rights.
been a
But until
woman plumber.
are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, but I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely
That's
not.
a
You,
bit-
no, but you said you were
Wow,
a volleyball.
wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do
strength.
those
I don't have
jobs.
more strength
But
than
I'm
the
not
average
going to take your
man.
right away to
I don't
do
have
it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You
Yeah, she's definitely a volleyball player. You can. I don't find that shocking since it's very obvious she spent way too much time on the beach with her brain fucking baking in the sun. She'd probably feel right at home in those like fucking migrant canopies.
want to be equal. Go be equal.
But you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we
What
have
is
today is
equal here?
really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in
Sure.
sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's
Right.
what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a
Cool.
50% divorce rate, and the average marriage
Why is that all
is
down
8
to the
years.
women, though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why
But
feminists ruin it?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
first? So
So keep in mind, the reason why he drew that comparison, or he drew that line, is because I do believe a majority of divorces are initiated by the women, which, sorry, give me 1 second, what's what I'm looking for, which is why she has an interest in repealing divorce. If it was like, if divorces were initiated by men more frequently, she wouldn't call for the end of divorce. So keep that in mind. But also, men are, I think also, it also wouldn't really matter. Keep it like, it wouldn't really matter if you banned like no fault divorces, right? Like we've heard Steven Crowder bitch about no fault divorces. I wonder why. But like, if two people get married and then, they want to get divorced, they'll just get divorced. They'll just do it. It's like, there is nothing that's going to stop them. And secondly, there is no reason why the government should have an interest in keeping two people together that don't want to be together. Like there's no benefit to society for that. A, but B, in a scenario where no fault divorce is illegal, they're just going to make up a fault. The husband's just going to go bang somebody, take some pictures, and then give it to the wife, who's going to be like, oh, you cheated on me. All right, cool, we're divorced now. And that's like it. Happened before. It'll happen again. It's stupid. It's idiotic. It wouldn't bring about the change that she actually wants.
So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for
Also, who
poor,
cares?
in sickness and in health, till death do us
But
part.
doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married?
Oh, true.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that
This
you don't
girl's not a virgin. Oh my God. What? Bro, Pierce, what the fuck was that face, my guy? Can't say I'm shocked.
That's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views. And
Well, yeah, but like, then what do you do then? If you're a woman, if you're, what is this girl? She's like 26. If you're like 26, then and now, what do you do then? Are you just fucked? Should you just go stand at a cliffside and wait for like a Navy man or something to come home? Like what are your options then?
you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think,
and they should abide by some-
Hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
You might not like
But
them.
I'm here to
But
challenge
isn't she
it.
exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am.
Wait, Pierce, you fucking idiot. You're allowed to... Okay. Can we talk about how conservatives can't understand the difference between shutting down somebody's free speech and challenging it? Like, they literally can't fucking understand this. And I don't know how they can't. They do it all the time. They bitch all the time. They talk over people all the time. You're allowed to challenge somebody's speech. Like, the only time it becomes an issue is if the government gets involved in censoring your speech. Other than that, I really don't care. challenge somebody's speech. Should she have a platform? Fuck no. She's a dipshit. She's an idiot. She's somebody who feeds the exact kind of misogyny that Andrew Tate fans and other little dweeby teenagers who, quite frankly, don't have a lot of experience with women would like to hear them make themselves feel better about their inability to court women. That's her entire purpose. Do I think she should have a platform? Absolutely not. But like, what's it called? I'm allowed to think that, and everybody's allowed to think that. You should think that. Everybody should look at Pearl here and see a moron. See the state of like vapid political rhetoric, like embodied in this woman. But like, that's fine. I'm allowed to say that. She can say whatever she wants. I'm just gonna make fun of her all the time and say that she's stupid because she is.
I'm not.
Really?
No, don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineer.
Why don't you go, okay, Pearl, you dipshit. Why are you doing a YouTube channel? Your argument falls apart the second you say this. Because moron, why are you not on? I guess she'd argue. Yeah, okay, wait. I guess she would just argue that like, well, I don't think we should be equal, which, all right, then what are you even doing with a YouTube show? Get back in the fucking kitchen. Go walk outside, and the first man you see, court him, offer to be like his slave wife or whatever, and go away. Like, I don't know why are you even here? You're a woman. You're not supposed to have political opinions, right? Why are you here? Shoo. But she doesn't believe any of this. It's all an act. It's all a game. And again, the idea that there isn't one woman oil rig worker is comical.
Love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
Seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm saying
Go do it. All of feminism.
You want to get married to? Are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the.
Okay, watch this. Let's see. It's like I've never seen. Oh my god! It's like I've never seen a woman on a construction site before. It's not like they are common. Oh boy, look at that. Look at that construction worker. Amazing. Yeah, like the idea that there aren't women who do construction is fucking asinine. But again, we're dealing with somebody with about 2 brain cells.
Vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, like, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children.
Ooh. Okay. Let's think about that. Marriage is not about happiness. So why the fuck would anybody get married? Marriage, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe I live in a fantasy world, but I always thought marriage was about being happy. But apparently not.
And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me.
Oh, I also shouldn't have to say that, I shouldn't have to say that not all marriages involve kids. Marriage is not like not marriage until you have kids. It's still marriage. A marriage is a union between 2 people, not a union between 2 people and their kids. That's not how that works.
My feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in age.
Yes. When back when women, some of the women back when they were like second-class citizens and, they still think, I think things were better back then. I think back when we were second-class citizens, things were better back then. Like, come on. Like, yeah, I'm sure if you ask like some old fart about, how do you feel about your rights? Do you feel like you'd be okay without them? I'm sure you'd get some that'll say, oh, you know, I'm happy just being a housewife. You know, I was fine with it. You know, some women that's not enough, but for me it is. And at the end of the day, the thing I care about, or the value that I favor in this scenario, is freedom and choice and the ability for people to do the things that makes them happy, that makes their lives fulfilled. The thing that she has decided to throw her hat behind is this arbitrary definition of family that only serves to restrict women. Because again, keep in mind, men in this scenario aren't losing any of their rights. Men aren't driven out of the military. Men aren't, men's situation under her, like, women shouldn't vote or whatever. Men's lives don't get better. They stay the exact fucking same. Their relationships with women are going to get a lot worse and a lot harder, quite frankly. But at the end of the day, their men's lives aren't going to get better by taking the rights away from women. If you actually want to make men's lives better, make them better. Actually propose, policies, propose legislation, propose some kind of change to the status quo to ameliorate men from the patriarchy. That is what you can actually do. But what they want is, at the end of the day, to reinforce a patriarchal system that puts men at the top, but also fucks over men in a whole bunch of ways. And surprisingly, fucks over women in a million different ways. And that's why it's just a woman hating movement. That's all it really boils down to. Nothing gets better for men. Everything gets worse for women. And, that's the only thing that they really care about.
So I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand,
I'd like to
what
say,
I don't
even
understand.
before
Also, don't women-
1920s,
also, aren't women-
could speak openly.
Also, like, aren't women the ones who historically always have to take care of the kids and stuff? So, like, when they get divorces, they're the ones who, get stuck raising children, which is a much more difficult task. So, like, women already kind of get the sour end of that deal as it is. So what's the problem? Like,
the idea that, like, women couldn't talk the last 500 years. There have been women throughout
the American
history
state
that have
education
been,
system has
that
failed before, and it's failing.
Well, you can kind of,
there have been women
yeah.
throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in.
Wait. How many women did she say? Go back for a second.
I'd like to
What
say,
I don't
even before the
understand.
1920s,
Do you know what I mean?
women could speak openly. This idea that, like, women couldn't talk the last 500 years. There have been.
Nobody said women couldn't talk. It's that they couldn't vote, meaning that they couldn't participate in democracy. That, like, they had no electoral voice.
Women
I know,
throughout
but the American
history
state
that have
education
been-
system has
that
failed before, and it's failing now.
There have been women throughout history
There
that
have
read,
been.
written, and been very.
Guys, there are women who have read and written throughout history. Yeah, they would teach the women in, like, southern fucking plantations. They would teach the women how to read and write. That doesn't mean that they were equal citizens. They were still chattel.
Influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea, like, women could never do it.
Do you know
Don't
what
believe
what
it.
I don't understand, though, is when it gets
Also, again, reading and writing was restricted to the rich women and women, not like every woman could read and write. No, it was restricted only for those with the wealth and status.
Okay, because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, like, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have
Are they
abortions,
fat?
you say that
Are
they
they
have
fat?
STDs.
Are women? Are we asking? Wait. Are we assessing are all women fat? Is that what we're doing? Yeah, real. Thank you, Groove Dragon. Precisely. Like do I need to look up? First of all, all right. First of all. If we're gonna criticize women for their looks, then we need to have a talk with fellas. Because I'll be honest here, fellas, we're not trying at all. Do you know how long it takes women to get ready every single fucking day to look even halfway decent? Do you know how much effort gets put into that? And how many dudes I know? Like, how many dudes do you know? throw on, and again, you know, I'm not much better. I'm wearing a fucking graphic tee. Throw on a graphic tee, maybe some shorts, maybe some cargos, some, you know, they throw on their Nikes or something, and that's like it. They're like, all right, cool, that's it. And then they go out, they like maybe brush against a woman and try to have a conversation. Meanwhile, this girl's like thought about matching her shoes with her belt, with her like accessories. She has like a good little bit of makeup on. She's probably spent like an hour doing that. Also getting her hair, like fixing her hair in a specific way, trying to look like, you know, in some kind of aesthetically pleasing, consistent way. And then like some dude in a fucking like t-shirt and like, you know, shorts or whatever walks up and is like, oh, hey, you know, like, you know, women just don't, you know, women just don't try anymore. Like, come the fuck on, dude. Like, fellas out there, we don't fucking try. And through the grace of women, luckily, they date some of us, the good ones at least. But like, come on, get the fuck out. Fucking Just Pearly Things over here, be it all like, oh, women are fat. Bitch, have you looked at guys these days? We're not exactly hitting it out of the park. And again, once again, we don't put nearly as much of an effort in that women are conditioned to in our society every single day. Like, fucking spare me.
The question is, are they fat? Yes or no?
Man, I walk fast past that mirror
sometimes. The
sometimes.
average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest.
Wait, what? Wait. Wait. Go back.
You know, I mean, the question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's pounds.
Would you like to know the average American man? I don't think you want to know what the average American man's weight is. I don't think that's something you want to interrogate there. Also, speaking like, you know, Just Pearly Things, she looks rather tall too. I wouldn't go talking too lightly about weight, darling, because like you're pretty tall and not super skinny, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, spare me with this. Women are fat. Also, again, America, no shit. A lot of us are overweight and quite unhealthy.
That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as
Who
some
the
kind
fuck
of body
celebrates
positivity,
it?
and it is complete nonsense. So
Wait,
actually, on that
body
point again,
positivity isn't the same as celebration. It's just okay. Like the idea that you can first of all, the idea that you can be overweight and actually in shape isn't really a new concept. It's just a new concept for people who who have like fucking like ancient perceptions of body standards. At the end of the day, like people pretend that like, oh, skinny is like healthy. No, it's not. And being fat is not always unhealthy. There are multiple people. I'm willing to bet money that Pierce Morgan would not be able to like outrun, like in terms of like a, you know, like outpace in like in an endurance competition. Somebody like Lizzo, for example, somebody who is overweight and is not like shy about that fact and embraces it to a degree. I can guarantee you the amount, like Pierce Morgan couldn't put on 5 minutes of a Lizzo concert that Lizzo has to do. And again, it's just like these archaic ideas continue to like live on through idiots like Just Pearly Things who just want to, you know, continue to keep these weird standards that they think that they pass. So again, they think to themselves, oh, if I can just keep the standards behind me or lower than me, then, you know, I get to be the preferential person at the end of the day. Like, that's all this again, it's the same dynamic as I mentioned earlier.
there's a bit of truth in
97. Thank you, Guru Drag.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body
Yeah.
positive?
Well,
It's nonsense.
we're not talking about morbid obese. I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you
Dude,
called her
every
fat,
fucking
obese,
singer,
and a divorcee.
every one
She
of
was
them.
fat, obese, and a divorcee.
wasn't.
I mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women.
You know what? What is it? I'm going to use somebody I actually know a lot more about. What the fuck are you doing, Google? Thank you. Piper Niven. Irish professional wrestler. I would fucking outrun these fucking losers in a mile race. No questions asked. No fucking questions asked. Because at the end of the day, weight is not always a determining factor in terms of health. There are obviously things that like we attribute to certain weight scales and weight levels and distribution and stuff like that. But like, this woman's a professional wrestler, incredibly athletic, almost certainly is above that 170 weight scale that they use as like, oh, women are fat. Yeah. Well, and this girl is like 8 times the athletic that all of you are combined. Like, fucking spare me. I hate this idea. It's so fucking stupid. It's like, it's just understanding is like, oh, skinny is healthy, fat is unhealthy, which is, no, that's not always the case.
We don't want to live in reality. We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Okay, I'm going to have to objectively...
And she insulted me first. They always do.
I'm going to have to objectively end the debate, but it was an interesting...
You know what's funny also is Just Pearly Things out here being like, that girl is fat and divorced. Bitch, you are single. Like, no, really. Like, you haven't even gotten to the point where you got to be married and then got divorced. This is like somebody who's never dated and then like been like, you dated that girl and you guys broke up after a year. What can I, like, the fuck? Like, geez, well done with your never succeeded in love at all. Like, way to go. Real triumph there. But losers never die, I guess. Anyway, let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, okay. So I feel like we spent too much time on that, but that was fun. Okay. Should we look at the Matt Walsh thing? Okay. Yes. All right. So you might be saying to yourself, Josh, it's been like quite a while since you've talked about Matt Walsh. To which I would say, yes, that is incredibly true. It has been quite a while since I talked about, mostly because he seems to have gone pretty silent after deplatforming himself. He's kind of irrelevant ever since they decided to pull like his show or whatever from YouTube, or at the very least after he got like demonetized or whatever. So, you know, never let it be forgotten. Deplatforming absolutely works. But, you know, I decided to kind of check in because he was a voice that I hadn't heard on this. You might have heard of a Jason Aldean. He's a country music man. I don't know if he's a singer. Probably is. Recently came out with a music video. A song with a music video accompanying by it. Let's see if we can find it. Find some of the lyrics. Oh, lovely. It's like the first thing. Can I get lyrics? We'll get like a little sampling since we can't what's it called? Let's see. Got a gun that my granddad gave. Sorry, let me see if I can do the voice. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna end. What the fuck? They're gonna round up. Wait. They say one day they're gonna round up. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. I don't know how the song goes. I'm looking for, yeah. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, it's all at the beginning. I thought it wasn't the first. Yeah. Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk. Carjack an old lady at a red light. Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face. Stop. What is with them and spitting in people? Stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long. For you to find out, I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Now, I don't know what this gentleman sounds like. I give everybody kind of that general voice. I also can't play the song, so don't ask me to. But yeah, a bit sussy. You know, I've seen a little bit that like some of the imagery used in it was also a bit sussy. It kind of seems like a Sundown Town anthem, quite frankly. Oh yeah, they used January 6th footage. Yeah. Oh, he does sound like that. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll do. I'll think about doing the rest of it in the voice, but I can't promise it. But yeah, they use some January 6th footage, some BLM, George Floyd protest footage. So naturally, kind of trying to do this whole, let's call it what it is. A lot of this was, hey, if you're a liberal, if you're a liberal and left leaning, don't ever bring any of that politics into our town, because we live in a small town where people carry guns everywhere and we lynch people. I mean, we confront them on the spot in our small town. What this ends up being is, quite frankly, just a fucking sundown town anthem. But with this, discourse began over the violence depicted in the song and in the song's music video. And Matt Walsh, it seems like, has a bit of an interest, and I think I have no doubt will probably be comparing Jason Aldean's pretty obvious come to this town and get shot to rap music. So let's go take a look. Let's check in. How is Matt doing? Not,
as you probably know,
not well. Am I the only one who thinks he looks like shit? Because he looks like shit right now. Also, I'm out of water. I'm gonna grab water. We're gonna go on a break really quick, and I'm gonna grab water. Then we'll do this. Give me like 2 seconds. All right. I told you it wouldn't be long. It's just, I don't have like a big jug. I probably should get a big jug. Redneck style America, love it or it's also kind of love it or leave it nonsense. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can we before we get into this? He looks like shit, right? Like, my dude looks rough. Like, Matthew, what is going on? What's happening, man? My pal, my good buddy, you look decrepit. Like, good God. Ugh. Very rough indeed. Put him back. Put him back to his normal scale. I'm disgusted by this. I'm disgusted by your appearance, Matt. Get it together.
Noticed the music industry is a degenerate wasteland full of semi-literate drug addicts who spew vulgarity and
he really, God, he hates black people. He really, man, my dude, I really wonder what it's like. Sometimes I wonder what it's like for him and Candace being in the same office together. I really wonder.
And ugliness all over the culture, like a never-ending stream of projectile vomit. For just one example, of course, one of the most talked about songs of the summer, called Pound Town, has the performer Sexy Red graphically describing.
I just want to say, I've literally never heard of this song, and apparently it's the song of the summer.
Her various orifices in the very first lines of the song, and it's all.
Wait, I know Trippy Red. Who the fuck is Sexy Red?
This is what passes for music in modern times, and if you criticize any of it, if you object to any of this filth, no matter how aggressively disgusting, stupid,
well, it kind of depends on your criticisms, doesn't it, Matthew?
And morally deranged it is, you are dismissed as a prude. If you do not want these morons and perverts to dump this audible sewage directly into your child's eardrums, then you're nothing more than a fainting church lady clutching your pearls.
A little bit.
The media will
also, you're allowed to just, I wouldn't let my kids listen to a lot of rap, but that's not because I'm a prude. It's just because the subject matter isn't, I think, like, appropriate for all ages. That's why we have, like, explicit stickers on CDs and stuff?
Will join in this course, of course, insisting that the music you object to is somehow actually artistically brilliant. Sure, the average hit song these days sounds like it was written in crayon on a piece of toilet paper by an emotionally disturbed adult who still wears Velcro shoes, but you're supposed to love all of it and never criticize any of it.
Is Velcro making a comeback? I heard Y2K Bimbo's making a comeback. Can we bring back
there are exceptions
Velcro
to this rule.
on the shoes?
Every once in a while, the very people who love and
every once in a while, there's a white guy who makes a song that I really like. And I discover music ain't so bad anymore. Matt Walsh probably doesn't listen to music. He probably just listens to the sounds of fire crackling and maybe I feel like the closest thing Matt Walsh listens to music is the grinding of rusted gears or something.
Defend the most heinous and disgusting music imaginable will encounter a song that they deem offensive. They go from calling everyone else pearl clutchers to clutching their own pearls. Suddenly, they're the ones fanning themselves and fainting.
It's almost like people have
These
opinions.
are always interesting and informative moments, and we happen to be experiencing one right now.
It's almost like people
the song
have
that has provoked the
different
wrath of the sorts of people who regularly celebrate the most demented and hideous and artistically irredeemable music ever made is from country star Jason Aldean.
We get it, dude. You don't like black people in their music.
This song, we are informed.
Because keep in mind, Matt Walsh is this guy too. He thinks everything is degenerate except for this song. He's cool with this song.
Deeply offensive. I mean, it's probably the most offensive song that's been made this century based on the reaction. So prepare yourself.
Based on the reaction?
Here's a quick sample.
You bitch, I can't show this. Okay, yeah. Protests, of course. Matt Walsh, pro-police. Yeah, some January 6th stuff, I'm pretty sure. Again, we can't listen to this. So... yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Some more pro-police stuff. Real populists they are on the right.
Aldean is directing this at those who sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, or pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. And warning that if they behave this way in a small town, they won't make it down the road because, as he says, folks in small towns take care of their own and don't.
Now, quick question. If you were to describe somebody who punched somebody on the side of a road and then carjacked a grandmother and then held up a liquor store owner, why couldn't it be the employee? Usually it's employees, not the owners. But all of these things, you're in the, let's be honest here, it's country music. It's the South. Do you think that's a white guy? Do you think that's a white guy he's talking about? Do you? Is that? Come on. Let's be real about this.
Put up with that kind of nonsense. Now, as someone who lived in a town of fewer than 3,000 before moving to Nashville, I can confirm that this is basically how it works in my experience in small towns. Where I lived, I never heard of anyone getting carjacked or sucker punched on a sidewalk. Violent crime was virtually non-existent, and this was all not in spite of, but at least partially because everybody legally owned multiple firearms. It was.
Okay, wait a minute. There is. Okay, wait a minute. The idea that people don't steal stuff because other people own firearms is absurd. Like, even just take the example of Chicago, right? They always want to point to Chicago, and we'll use that as an example. There are a ton of guns and a ton of people who own guns in Chicago. Has that affected any of the crime rate? No, because those aren't the things that affect crime. Crime aren't about consequences. Crime isn't about consequences. Crime is not about the threat of violence being the threat of violence being that you get met with if you're committing violence. Or committing a crime. None of those things factor into it. Crime happens because people are desperate. And the reason why people are less desperate in small towns is for two reasons. In the past, it was because small towns were hubs of economic prosperity. You know, you would go to the liquor store owned by this one family. You would go to a small grocery store, maybe owned by another family. You would go to the, the fucking vet, the pet store. owned by another family. Everybody would kind of live in this small little economy. Everyone would know everybody, live near everybody, and would what's the word I'm looking for? Participate in commerce with each other, right? And that's how small towns were for a very long time. And that's also why you saw crime rather low in those kinds of small towns. You would see people come in from different areas, but mostly the crime in those localities would be rather low. Because when people build connections with each other, and when people are able to live prosperously within a small community, and you can extrapolate this to larger communities, but like keeping it in the small town aspect, like, you know, when everybody's kind of buying from each other and the money circulates in that one little fashion, you have your mayor that's allocating any of the tax funds to upkeep the infrastructure, which helps everybody, yada yada, right? That's how it was not too long ago, probably around the 1970s, 1960s. You would have small towns, right? So that's why you didn't see a lot of that crime. Now, fast forward to the modern day, what do we see in small towns? Nothing. We don't see hardly anything. And the reason why you don't see crime in those areas, the same way, you don't see people just sucker punching grandmothers and punting dogs off of bridges and fucking RKOing store owners en masse. The reason why you don't see that is because there are no stores. There are no dogs walking around. I mean, maybe some strays, but there's nothing left. Our small towns here in the United States are mostly destroyed. They're devastated. And they're not going to go to their small town liquor store to rob. Small town liquor store hardly exists. And even if it does, that's the last store that exists. Like, at the end of the day, you don't see this kind of crime in these kind of like small town impoverished areas because there ain't nothing to steal. If I'm desperate, in need of food, in need of resources to either resell or resources for myself, I'm not driving to bumfuck West Virginia, bumfuck Kentucky to go steal what? A case of beer? Like there's nothing there to steal. It's why, and we'll touch on this a little bit later when we get into the last story. It's why we saw a lot of organized retail theft. Not a lot, I should say some. It's why you see stuff like that. Again, we'll watch it later, but there will be a video later on where it'll be, a bunch of people broke into a Gucci, maybe a Louis Vuitton, I don't know, one of those types of stores. They broke in, they ran in, they grabbed a bunch of shit, they ran off. Now, the reason for that is because that shit's worth a lot. If you're living in, I think it was in San Francisco, I believe. I could be wrong. But if you're living near a city or adjacent to a city, you go into the city, into one of these rich neighborhoods, or maybe you live in one if you live in a area with a lot of income inequality. You go to those rich areas, you go to those few little rich spots, you know where they are in every neighborhood. You rob those. You get out, you get in, you get out. You don't go to the broke ass areas. They don't have anything to give you. They don't have any resources to spare. You go to places where resources are plentiful, where people can take hits, stuff like that. Like, you just don't see it in small towns. There's ain't shit there. Fuck am I gonna steal? Some fucking busted ass Cadillac from like the 1960s? No, come on.
It was certainly not uncommon to hear gunshots coming from your neighbor's property, not because any crime was being committed, but because they were, out back doing target practice or in the woods hunting for deer. These were not the sorts of people you wanted to carjack or randomly assault on the sidewalk, which is why that sort of thing rarely, if ever, happened. That's what Jason Aldean was trying to convey in his song, along with conveying that there's a sense of community that you can find in a lot of these towns that oftentimes you don't find in the bigger cities, which is also, in my experience, true.
This is true.
But of course, somehow
that is true. We are atomized a lot in big cities.
To many people on the left.
Mainly because
there has been a definite...
And keep in mind, the atomization in big cities isn't because people don't form communities in big cities. It's mainly because there's just not that many people in them. Go to any big city. Most people live kind of in the neighboring neighborhoods. Like, I live in Denver, right? But I don't live in Denver. I live, 10 10 miles south of like what is actually downtown. But like, you know, when it's time to socialize, you go into the city. But people go into cities and then leave them to socialize. So that's why you see a lot of like, there isn't really the same kind of community, because we're not like, there isn't this like large group of people, or at least like not like to the degree it used to be, where you walked downstairs of like, you walked to the ground floor of your apartment, and then you walked a couple blocks, hit up the bar with a couple friends who live in an apartment maybe 2 blocks down from there as well. Not everyone is that densely packed together. A lot of people are kind of in the adjacent regions and going into the city, then back out. And because of that, people are living kind of scattered around the city, because also nobody can afford to live in the actual city. Obviously, there are people, but that's almost certainly a minority of the population here.
Cry of outrage against this song. Many tweets like this from a woman named Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, who you know is insufferable based on the fact that she front loads her name with multiple titles, but she posted,
Whoa, Matt, whoa. That's a fucking reverend. How fucking dare you? Clean your mouth out.
There's no non-racialized way to write a song about lynching.
Yeah.
When Jason Aldean sings, "See how far you make it down the road," it invokes a very particular legacy.
Yeah.
Another viral post agrees. Nobody could be shocked by Jason Aldean writing a racist as F song. Him and his skanky wife hang out with Trump and dress their kids in anti-Biden clothing.
Oh my God, dude, that's cringe as fuck.
As he is. Many more posts, you know, where these came from, all of a similar tone and theme. The Daily Beast slammed Aldean with this headline: Jason Aldean catches heat for racist pro-gun lyrics, a modern lynching song.
Yep.
The outlet claims that the song is not just a statement of Aldean's personal politics, but a disturbing call to arms, quote unquote. They accuse the singer of, quote, suggesting that he's gearing up for a race war. And by the way, their evidence for that accusation, that he mentions a race war in the song?
Nope. Never said that he mentions a race war, just that he's stoking it. I want to see. Got a gun to my Yeah, that's right. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. I don't know what that means. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that shit might fly in a city. Good luck. Because, okay. And again, keep in mind, every time he does the like, well, that's a city, who is he talking about? It's the same thing with the inner city thing. He's talking about black people. Try that in a small town, see how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. Yeah. Fun, full of good old boys, raised upright. Do I need to say it? Do I need to say the whole upright thing? Because humans are upright and apes are. I don't need to say it. I think you get it. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. See how far you make it. Da-da-da-da-da. Ooh, try that in a small town. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty thinly veiled. It's not really all that. Again, Matt Walsh cannot. I don't think Matt Walsh would ever acknowledge the existence of sundown towns. But yeah, that's the kind of language he's invoking.
They quote this lyric from the song: "Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up."
I would love to know what that means.
So
Matt,
the
tell me
Daily
what
Beast
that
sees
means.
a race war in that line somehow. I don't see it, but I guess this is like the leftist version of finding Jesus in a piece of toast. I don't know. You know, as we get deeper into the summer, it's all the more important to think about.
It's all the more important to get some fucking sunscreen, my dude. You look like you're fucking falling apart. Look like why does Matt Walsh look like the fucking tree from Fallout 1? Jesus.
Hell Sheets that I'm at, or anywhere I've...
Oh my Christ above. Come on, move on. Enough with the ads. All the guns. Oh, okay, so it's just more of the like, okay, cool. That's okay. I wasn't sure if it was like round up all the guns because we're going to go fight some people or something. I don't know.
Earth.com.
Oh my God, Cozy Earth. No! You're supposed to be a Majority Report advertiser. God damn it.
Many other headlines echo this sentiment. Perez Hilton published his own screaming headline: "Music fans nationwide condemn Jason Aldean's violent new song, an awful music video. Big yikes."
Whoa, Perez Hilton, somebody who hasn't been relevant in what? Yeah, Jesus Christ, get your fucking like references up to date, my guy. Who the fuck talks about Perez? I haven't heard Perez Hilton's name in like what, 13 years? Jesus.
CNN agreed, noting that the lyrics allegedly evoke lynching and gun violence.
Sure they will. Yeah.
Other artists have denounced Jason Aldean. Last night, Sheryl Crow posted this: I'm from a small town. Even people in small towns are sick of violence. There's nothing small town or American about promoting violence. You should know that better than...
That is kind of true. Yeah, I didn't even really think of that angle off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of like one of those, because what's the stereotype of people in small towns also that they're dumb, violent hicks? Like, yeah, you're just kind of, that is a bit offensive to those sorts of people, and also racist, but you know.
Than anyone having survived a mass shooting. This is not American or small town like. It's just lame.
Just
CMT,
lame.
the country music television channel, joined the dogpile by abruptly pulling the music video from their rotation. They didn't give, at this point, an official reason for that decision, but the reason is clear.
Yeah, controversy.
The backlash eventually prompted a lengthy response from Aldine, who released a statement yesterday with this clarification, quote, try that in a...
Like, I why do I care? He's just going to say, oh, no, it doesn't mean what it means, or you're all just misconstruing me, or whatever. Like, it doesn't, I don't care what he has to say. He made the song with the intention that he did. He made the music video. He used the imagery that he wanted to use. Like, come off of it. Like, enough.
Small town, for me, refers to the feeling of community that I had growing up, where we took care of our neighbors, regardless of differences of background or belief.
Oh, my God.
Because they were our neighbors.
It's too bad you never mentioned that they took care of their own regardless of background or belief. It's too bad none of that made it into the song.
And that was above any differences. My political views have never been something I've hidden from, and I know that a lot of us in this country don't agree on how we get back to a sense of normalcy, where we go at least a day without a headline that keeps us up at night. But the desire for it, that's what this song is about.
The desire? Wait. The desire? Okay, wait a minute. My political views, I know that a lot of us in this country don't agree on how we get back to the sense of normalcy, where we go at least a day without a headline that keeps us up at night. But that desire is for it too. That's what the song is about, getting back to a sense of normalcy, where without a headline that keeps us up at night? Huh? The song is clearly about, like, he says you might be able to get away with that in a city. In the backdrop are the BLM protests, which means he's invoking, don't protest in our small town. We don't do that shit here. And again, you can pick a lot of protests. He picked the BLM ones. Like, it's rather obvious. It's not about getting back to a time when we didn't see a crazy headline every day. No, you're making a statement to keep a certain kind of activity out of small towns. Even though, again, Jason Aldean does not speak for every small town in the United States.
Don't agree on how we get back to a sense of normalcy, where we go at least a day without a headline that keeps us up at night. But the desire for it, that's what this song is about.
God damn, if you really wanted to talk about, like, small towns, like, make a song about that, for God's sake. Especially if he has, like, experience in that. Like, you would think that'd be, I guess, like, a personal angle for him. Like, that'd be kind of interesting. You wanted to make something about the experience of people in small towns, and it's, like, primarily, people getting shot in mass shootings. But no. His problem is, there's some black people. There are some black people in black people and liberals in the cities. That's his real problem. His real goal is just delineating a line between, and let's be honest here. This is just, like, as much as this is a lynching anthem, it's also just a real American, fake American. That's also what this is. This is just I'm the real small town mainstream American, Main Street American. You're the city dwelling, Wall Street loving, liberal city American. It's just more of that stuff.
Now, he also stipulates that this song is not about race and does not promote lynching. These stipulations are totally unnecessary because everybody already knows that the accusations are completely absurd and meritless. The people making the accusations especially know it. In fact, if you immediately assume that lyrics condemning carjackings and random assaults are racist and anti-black, then you have revealed something about your own feelings and assumptions about black people.
Yes, I invoked talking points and dog whistles to be racist against black people, and then you properly identified them. You're the racist. Okay, Matt. Okay. Whatever you say, Matthew, whatever you say.
Okay, if somebody says, I hate carjackings, and you say, well, what do you got against black people? You've admitted something about yourself. It's like if I said, man, I can't stand the lazy, smelly weirdos, and you said, hey, what's wrong with Mexicans? Somebody...
Well, Matt, this would make sense if only he didn't use footage of Black Lives Matter protesters in his music video. If only he didn't invoke imagery of black people protesting for their rights and for their place in this country to what's the word to represent the carjackings and everything else.
In the exchange has made an unflattering statement about Mexicans, and it wasn't me. Something similar is going on with this reaction to try that.
What's actually funny is like the situation he's talking about would be like if a Mexican walked by, he said that stuff, or like, out yonder, there was a brown guy. Matt Walsh says like this smelly, lazy guy, and you go, there's only one other person in the general vicinity, and he's like a brown guy. What the fuck is that about? And Matt Walsh goes, why are you so racist? I was talking about the white kid with face tattoos inside that house. If you had noticed, he's playing Call of Duty right now. I can see through his blinds. Like, fuck off.
In a small town. Now, with all that said, I must admit that there are some gratuitously violent lyrics in Jason Aldean's song. Okay, we didn't play them for you, so it's a little bit offensive, but listen to these lines from the song.
Motherfucker. Oh, wait.
I got some homies with pounds, but we ain't that cool, so I'm thinking about robbery. Got to play this shit smart. It's going to hurt they heart when they find...
Okay. Well, this is really funny. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the kind of chutzpah that Ben Shapiro has. It's not nearly as good. I'm sad to say. I was enjoying it, and then I was like, wait, he's just going to read it in a boring voice with a angry looking, with that face of his. At least Ben Shapiro, he read the fucking Cardi B lyrics. Those were fucking hilarious. This is just going to be Matt Walsh reading. This is Matt Walsh reading out his list of every reason why he doesn't like black people.
Find out that it was me that was robbing them. Got to catch him when it's dark. Going to run up on his car. That same one we always be riding in. Ran up to his car, made him grab the wheel. I grabbed his neck like I'm Iron Man. Just do what I say. No, you don't want to die in here. If you reach or you tweak, I'm a fire in here.
I don't even know who that is.
Really violent stuff from Jason Aldean. Oh, wait, no, that's not Jason Aldean.
Wait, didn't he say he's Iron Man? What's violent about Iron Man?
And I'm sorry, that's not Jason Aldean at all. That's one of the top rap songs on
Who
YouTube
is
right
this?
now.
I don't know who this
from
is.
From a rapper named King Von. This is actually a posthumous song from the artist who was tragically killed in a gang shooting a few years ago.
Yep.
Before his death, he had been
I knew I'd have to talk about this. It's almost like rappers, specifically rappers who talk about gang violence, aren't doing so in a way to what's the word? In a way to glorify or even I think lionize that kind of activity. Talk to any rapper, talk to any watch any interview from any rapper. The reason why they talk about the subject matter that they talk about is not because of a glorification of violence or a glorification of gang activity. What it usually is, and obviously this isn't the case for everybody, but what it usually ends up being is a reflection of the environment in which they live in. And, usually these are stories, these are tales woven from experiences of probably people adjacent to them, certainly not themselves, as a way to bring attention and to, narrativize some of the conditions that people live in. Rap music at the end of the day comes out of the inner city, comes out of specifically black culture here in the United States. And what it's mostly describing are the conditions and contradictions inherent in living in extreme poverty in the United States. And it's kind of different when you're explaining the mindset and you're I think a lot of the times you'll see a lot of rappers, and again, obviously you see some who are a little bit, I think, less introspective, but certainly you can find a lot of introspective rappers who delve into this kind of content and come out the other end being more interested in engaging with it, in interrogating why they act the way they act, what leads them to those decisions. At the end of the day, Matt Walsh is going to pick out some lyrics from, a particularly violent part of a song, let alone that song is probably, that those are a couple lines from one song from probably an album that, for all we know, is, again, an explanation or a interrogation of somebody's lifestyle. Whereas, what is Jason Aldean's song about? Jason Aldean's song, at the end of the day, is about delineating who is a real American who's living in a real small town, and, the ne'er-do-wells who live in cities, those people who do crime, because crimes never happened here in small towns, and you better not bring that riffraff here. We have guns, boy, you see? We can handle. You come down with your other crime members. Everyone here has guns in this town, so we'll handle that. Like, that's what Jason Aldean's song is about. And I don't suppose the rest of his album is going to be about the relationship of people living in cities and living in towns. It's just a song he made because, let's be honest, he's just a rightoid. He's somebody who spends way too much time on the internet consuming right-wing media and has decided to take refuge in his identity as a small-town guy who's, let's be honest, probably a millionaire and lives in a mansion.
Implicated in up to 10 different homicides, okay? There's a rap artist with hit songs, including one right now after he died, implicated in 10 homicides. So he was potentially an actual serial killer.
Potentially.
With a music video that has 10 times the number of views as Jason Aldean's song right now.
It's almost like he's more interesting because Jason Aldean's just LARPing as a small town city boy, again millionaire, keep in mind. Whereas the other guy doesn't really seem like he is. He doesn't seem like he's LARPing. I don't know if he killed those people, but kind of seems like he might have some experiences that most people don't have.
But Jason Aldean is the problem somehow. He's the one we're worried about. King Von is...
Well, King Von's dead, isn't he? So I guess it's not really somebody we have to worry about then.
Not a unique case.
The streets caught up with him.
Is obviously full of actual violent criminals who openly glorify murder, drug abuse, rape, robbery, all manner of violent crime. They directly call on their fans to engage in this behavior, and their fans respond accordingly. They have particular influence over fatherless inner city kids who...
You know what's funny about this also? Matt Walsh would make the argument that, like, rappers call on their audiences to commit crimes and to, be criminals or whatever, but rap being the most popular genre in the United States, why aren't a bunch of white kids in the suburbs who fucking love rap music, let's be clear, where are they running around killing and shooting people? Where are they, going and robbing people? Like, really, if there was any correlation between the proliferation of a genre of music and a rise in crime, trust me, it'd be rather obvious to see. But crime's been dropping since the 80s, a time period in which we saw the golden age of hip hop and rap. The 90s, anybody? Eminem, gangster rap, NWA, Biggie, Pac, all those guys. 90s, 2000s. You have Wayne, Jay-Z. I mean, I guess Jay started in the 90s. But you have Wayne, Drake, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar. You have the entire span. Since rap has become a more mainstream music genre. Crime has gone down in this country. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. That like, oh, suddenly, oh my God, ever since rap music, things have gotten so much worse. No, they haven't. Fucking read for a second, you'd know that.
They coax down a road of lawlessness and self-destruction. This is what you get in rap music, which is why every year, or sometimes multiple times a year, rappers end up lying in the gutter, bleeding out as the lifestyle they promote.
It's almost like the self-destruction is like the lesson. It's almost like playing out in a artistic manner the what's the word I'm looking for? The rough and quite frankly dangerous lifestyle of people who are affiliated with gang culture is like the point. Maybe, and you know, people misunderstand that. People don't get that it's not glorification, that it is trying to teach you the lesson that, hey, this stuff is incredibly dangerous. Do not engage in it. Here are some explanations as to how people engage with it and how they get wrapped up in this world. But, you know, again, Matt Walsh doesn't quite understand that, because to Matt Walsh, it's all degenerate. It's all, quite frankly, black people music. Let's be honest.
It comes back to destroy them. Meanwhile, we're still waiting, as far as I know, for the first country artist to be killed in a gang shooting. It doesn't happen because country artists aren't the problem. The problem lies with the genres of music. They don't automatic and universal pass.
They talk about jeans
from the very
and
people
beers
pretending to be scandalized by Jason Aldean.
LARPing about
a few months ago,
shooting
Billboard
people
released its list of the
in
top
their
rap
small
songs
towns.
of 2022. Number one on the list is Glow
what is this?
Jason Aldean. A few months ago, Billboard released its list of the top rap songs of 2022. Number one on the list.
Oh, top rap songs 2022. Okay, cool.
Is
heard rap music called the news broadcast of is called. Oh, do you mean is called? No, I mean I wouldn't say that. It just, I mean, at the end of the day, all rap is the artistic expression of one's life for the most part. Like, also rap is unique in that it's a more competitive genre compared to others because of the way, mainly because like rap as a genre comes from obviously the inner city, from black culture, and with that there's always this like scratch and claw mentality, kind of the same way that there is in sports. The only way that, you know, it's been said a lot of times, the only way to make it out of the hood is by either a mic or a ball. So it's also why like rap is such a uniquely competitive genre to a lot of other ones. You know, a lot of country is about just playing music, and same with pop, same with rock. A lot of those are mostly about just playing music well, right? And about the artistry of playing music. Rap isn't like that. Rap is one of the few avenues that African Americans in this country, especially those born after the probably about mid-1980s, rap generally is one of the only ways people get out of their economic situation, how they get out of their poor economic status. So it's a much more competitive genre, and because of that, you see a lot more, because of that competitive nature, you see a lot more, I think, like a lot different subject matter. You know, like as much as you see like artistic like expressions of one's environment, of, you know, this or that or whatever, you're also going to get a lot of this kind of, I think, surface level like gang activity type stuff. It's kind of why you see a lot of gangster rap mixed in with like, there's a lot of like subgenres off of rap. Like there's a lot in hip hop as a culture. And the reason, and keep in mind, if I'm not sure how you know, hip hop's the culture, rap is the actual genre of music, just in case that was confusing for anybody when I switched. But yeah, like there's a lot of big differences. There's a reason why like rappers get shot and country stars don't, because country stars don't come from the hood. They don't come from desperate situations where people are scratching and clawing for resources. And people in rap constantly threaten each other because they're fighting over the one resource that they have, which is music. If you're a kid and you're artistic, you're musically gifted, and you live in like the hood, that's pretty big. And if there's somebody else who's also artistically gifted in the same kind of way, you battle rap them, right? Like, or at the very least, there's some kind of competitive nature between you two. Because unfortunately, in the United States, because of how much our economy has left black people behind, it's forced a lot of black people to compete against themselves, compete against each other in a way that other communities just simply aren't. White people don't compete against each other in the burbs. They don't. They just don't. They don't compete against jobs in the same kind of desperate way that black people do in the inner cities and in the hood. Like it just doesn't happen the same way. White people are generally, and like I'm speaking very generally, but like if you're like white, you live in the suburbs, or you grew up middle class, you're not competing for resources with your next door neighbor. It's not they get out or you get out. It's both of you just go to jobs and live your lives like normal. But like for a lot of kids, especially kids growing up in the hood, you either rap or you play basketball. Maybe you play football if you're bigger, but that's kind of it. And like because of that hyper competitiveness, you see a lot more danger crop up.
Glorilla and Hit Kid FNF.
Literally never heard the song.
Title. Part of it is the name of the rapper. I don't know which is which, but this song also made the best songs overall of 2022 list for the Los Angeles Times, NPR, Pitchfork, Time magazine.
Literally never heard the song.
It's one of the hits of the previous summer, went massively viral on YouTube and TikTok. Here's a brief sampling of this artistic masterpiece.
Okay,
Listen.
we'll do a little. Maybe I've heard it. Okay, I've literally, yeah. Shut up. No, stop. I've never heard that song before in my life.
Okay. One of the best songs of the entire year right there, according to NPR in the LA Times.
I mean, I guess we could like click through it. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. What do we got? We heard a bit of it. God damn it. Okay. Can we, okay. We hopping out in red lights, twerking on them headlights. Okay, that's not really violent now, is it? I be put up in the winter, in the summer, pop out every night. Okay. But they knew that. Bragging on that, I'm assuming that's the N-word. Top, you better hold his head tight. Okay. Cool. But they won't. Something gang. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. I guess I could just put on gang. Okay, cool.
One of the best songs of the entire year right there, according to NPR in the LA Times. Now, you might argue that the violent themes in that song are less of a concern because the lyrics are so illiterate, stupid, and unintelligible. It's hard to tell exactly what you...
Man, he's really like AAVE. Fuck you, black people. Fucking all of you. Jesus Christ, dude.
He's even trying to say. That's perhaps the one benefit of having a music scene overrun by mentally
meet a
disabled
black
idiots
person
with
just like once.
sub-75 IQs. Be that as it may, can anyone seriously argue that Try That in a Small Town is more objectionable than the garbage you just heard? Or any of the garbage?
Well, considering all of that was kind of harmless and kind of seemed like kids being kids, I actually think, yeah, pretty harmless. Kind of just kids goofing off as kids, twerking on headlights. I don't know. I didn't really see anything that objectionable about that.
Garbage just like it? Of course, the crucial difference between Try That in a Small Town and a song like Robberies or FNF, whatever it's called, aside from the fact that Jason Aldean can read above a third grade level, is that in the former case, if the artist is...
But only a third grade
advocating
level.
for any form of violence, he's advocating for violence in self-defense or in defense of the innocent against predators. But in your typical rap song, violence is advocated against anybody and everybody, not for the sake of defending yourself or your community, but for the sake of profit or settling a score with someone from a rival gang or proving how tough you are, etc. You know, if a rap song mentions carjacking people at red lights or pulling guns on liquor stores,
rappers said that they were
it'll be
tough.
because the artist
Country
is
stars
bragging
never heard
about
that.
doing those things. Aldean condemns those crimes, Rap artists explicitly promote and glorify them. A total indifference to human life,
Truly.
callous, violent amorality. That is what you hear.
Also, I understand. I understood basically everything that was said there. I think Matt might need to brush up on his English a bit.
Promoted in the kinds of songs that will never, ever, under any circumstance, be criticized by the Daily Beast or CNN or Sheryl Crow.
Also, why do you care? Like, what I don't also get is, why do you care? What was that song called again? I don't even remember.
Who openly glorify murder, drug every year, or sometimes shooting. It doesn't realize by Glorilla and Hit Kid.
Oh, Glorilla. Okay, cool. Yeah. Glorilla. Uh-huh. Oh, it's some chick group? Okay. What was the song? Didn't he say? Was it Tomorrow? I don't know if it was. 10 months ago? Would that have been? No, it would have had to been Glorilla. Who the fuck else did he say?
FNF. Part of that is the song.
Oh, FNF. Okay. Five Nights at Freddy's? Is that? No, that's FNAF. FNF. Let's go. Okay, so it's this. No. Wait a minute. Okay. I want to see this real quick. 70 million views. It's been out for a year. Let's see. Jason Aldean, 20 million. It's been out for 2 weeks. It's probably going to pass it. So I don't like, what I don't get is like Matt Walsh being like, Pitchfork said that it was a great song, and so did NPR and other people. And it's like, all right, was it culturally relevant in the mainstream? I don't know. Like, I've never heard of this song until Matt brought it up, first of all. But like, also, I don't even think that's like top song. Like, okay, let's do a quick search real quick. Top songs 2022. Let's go Billboard. Since oh yeah, also keep in mind, it's not even, oh yeah, that's right. It's not even like these are really like Jason Aldean doesn't need YouTube or the internet to get popular. He's a country star. Country stars don't live on like YouTube the same way that like modern, especially very young rap artists do. But yeah, all right. So top songs are Heat Waves by Glass Animals, As It Was, Harry Styles, Kid Laroi, Adele, Ed Sheeran, Jack Harlow. Lotto, really? Lotto had a, okay. Yeah, we don't get until the number 7 till we get a black person. Kodak Black, God, I hate Kodak Black. Justin Bieber, Future, Lizzo, Ed Sheeran, like, the song he brought up, is it gonna be on this list? FNF. Nope. Not even, no. So, what are we really talking about here? Doja Cat. What is this? Ties Bad Bunny for most songs. Interesting. I like the red hair. It's nice. Anyway, let's finish this up.
Song title. Part of it is the name of the rapper. I don't know which is which, but
who cares? Okay.
It's advocated against anybody and everybody, not for the sake of defending your.
Okay. I think we're actually done. I don't think. Here's what I'll say. Jason Aldean got a little bit too comfortable with his rhetoric and got a little bit too comfortable with his lyrics. He got a little bit too loose in invoking kind of that Southern good old boy, sundown town sound and language. And, he got called out for it. And, he kind of figured, I think fairly, he probably kind of figured, look, I'll probably get in a little bit of trouble, but it'll create a lot of buzz around my music and around me. And, that'll help me out at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that'll get more eyes on the music. That'll help me out in the long run. So I don't really think, I don't really think Jason Aldean really cares all that much. I think he made the news. He made some controversy. He made the news, and he's a little bit more popular now. now people think that it's like a whole, like, virtue signal to listen to Jason Aldean, which, you know what? It's going to be good for his album sales. Not that they needed help. He's a country star, and country fans still buy albums. But yeah, Matt Walsh, unfortunately, can't really cede that. I think he knows that, he knows that he can't really reckon with rhetoric that isn't surface level. And you see this a lot with conservatives, where if you're not saying the N-word, then you can't be racist. But anybody with any awareness of history or language used in a previous era, I think fairly would kind of recognize, yeah, you kind of used some sussy language, and you kind of just drew a line in the sand between city folk and small town folk. Even though afterwards, your song is supposed to be about, getting past a more political time. No. Jason Aldean was perfectly fine with seizing on the political moment to make some money. And as Groove Dragon has pointed out, do some clickbait. So, at the end of the day, these are, this is the dishonesty that you can count on from Matt Walsh. The willful ignorance, my friends. That is that is the true sign. But speaking of willful ignorance, we're gonna take a look at something I originally didn't really want to look at, but I think it's important. So let me pull up the videos. Let's see. Where's the one I'm looking for? Okay. So, let's go take a look. It should be. That's really what he does. Anyway. All right. So, I mentioned earlier retail theft. We're going to try to do this in a brisk fashion. Retail theft in 2022 was set to be a huge problem. There are two people who talked about this recently that I want to draw attention to. One of them is Tim Pool. The other one is somebody you might not expect, Anna Kasparian. Let's go take a look, shall we?
The corporate press, they do this thing where they're a year behind everybody else or a couple years behind everybody else. Here's a story from Real Clear Politics. CNN witnesses 3 shoplifting incidents within 30 minutes at San Francisco Walgreens. That's right. They went to a San Francisco Walgreens to try and report on the strange practice of locking up all the products, including fake eyelashes and like hair gel and stuff. And sure enough, people actually shoplifted while they were filming. There's a camera pointed at the guy's face. He doesn't care. Now, the big picture here is not just ragging on CNN. It's that shoplifting is technically not illegal. It's technically illegal, it's on the books, but there's a lot of things called blue laws that are on the books that don't get enforced anymore. So here we are, my friends. Let's start with the hypocrisy of CNN, the idiocy and ignorance, and then the cultural ramifications. Take a look at this story from CNN Business in January. Maybe we cried too much over shoplifting, Walgreens executive says. Okay, then we have this video. Let me play this video for you.
Oh no, Tim, come on now. Play the video.
Kyung La of CNN says, in San Francisco, we went to the Walgreens that is the #1 spot for theft in all of the 9,000 U.S. stores per Walgreens. This is where chains once shut the freezer section, and we saw 3 thefts right in front of us. But across SF, coffee, mustard, nail polish are all locked up.
So, why are we talking about this a little bit? Mainly because I want to demonstrate kind of where you go with some of this rhetoric. So, Tim Pool here has identified, there's a particular store in San Francisco that seems to get shoplifted a lot. Now, this shouldn't be all that shocking. It's a big city. There's a lot of cities, at least every city that I have ever been in, they kind of always lock up all of their stuff. Like there's, like if you've ever been to like New York or I've been to downtown LA like once or twice, they'll do like pull the entire, mall level like gates down on their stores, or they'll pull the entire thing down. And that's mainly because you live in a city, you're almost certainly going to be the victim of more crime simply because you're in a more densely populated area. This isn't really all that shocking. This isn't really all that interesting, quite frankly, because shoplifting is, for the most part, not really the biggest deal in the world, A, especially when it's not violent shoplifting. This is why companies and stores have insurance. But B, this is also the case where if you'd like to make the point that, like, oh my God, Biden's America has, like, crazy amounts of shoplifting and crime is on the rise, and but you don't want to look at charts. You can, however, look at anecdotes. Let's continue.
What I love about this is Dayquil. Let me play the video.
Oh my God! Somebody
Twitter
would.
often does it. This is, and it predates Elon.
Whoa! Twitter, whoa! That's called X. Why are you dead naming Twitter?
Here you go. Here's the video.
Also, I love that, like, something's not working on Twitter now, and Tim has to cover for Elon and go, oh, well, it wasn't working before Elon got there. Nice one, Tim.
I gotta get the audio going. Sorry. You see, that's every time.
The frozen.
I know the feeling, Tim. I know the feeling.
Chains, heavy chains that went from padlock to padlock on both sides of the doors, and this was bizarre, something I'd never seen before. This is just more icing on the cake, telling us that rampant crime has become a regular part of life.
So
typical. Yep. Oh my goodness.
We were at this Walgreens. We watched 3 people, including this man, steal.
Did that guy pay?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. I want everyone to kind of recognize the banality of the crime these people talk about. That dude and keep in mind, we're on 1.25 speed, but that person just casually walked, man. I didn't even hear the buzzers go off. Was that shocking to anybody? Was anybody taken aback by that? Was that shocking? I don't.
Did that guy pay? He didn't pay.
Walgreens says this Richmond neighborhood store.
Oh my God, you're right.
Products like mustard locked behind plexiglass has the highest theft rate of all their nearly 9,000 U.S. stores.
I can kind of see it, yeah.
Times a day.
And you'll notice that cold and flu medicine and fake eyelashes are behind these as well.
Yeah. I wonder why cold and flu medicine could possibly be behind those. And I wonder why people would need to steal cold and flu medicine. Could it possibly be that they're desperate and, I don't know, sick, probably?
Cream and frozen burritos. Workers grew so frustrated they resorted to the chains. They were ordered down by corporate because of the negative messaging.
I don't.
Now keep in mind, if you're a worker, the reason why workers wanted chains on that stuff is not because workers are, like, interested in denying people goods. Most likely, and I don't know for sure, but almost certainly what happened is that workers were being blamed for not securing product well enough, even though they don't have the resources to secure it in a way that I think was probably most effective. But the company would, at the end of the day, blame their employees for the loss of revenue or the loss of stock because they weren't willing to tackle people or something, or weren't willing to stand in front of the coolers for 24 hours a day, like this, on guard to make sure nobody possibly shoplifts them. It's not because workers are suddenly like, oh yeah. I really care. I need to make sure that my boss, my owner, makes that $3.95 on king size Kit Kat or whatever the fuck they're stealing. Nobody's actually thinking that. What they are is getting blamed for it, and they don't have the resources to actually fix it. But Walgreens doesn't want to, have the chains there to give that message. So it's just like, look, it's going to happen. We're just going to blame you. Take the L. But the workers are like, no, fuck that.
No, I don't understand why coffee.
Here she is.
It's become kind of like a police state in San Francisco.
Did you hear that? A local guy in San Francisco says it's become a police state because the supermarket had to lock up their coffee because people are stealing it. My guy, that's the opposite of a police state. People are taking security into their own hands.
Also, I don't know why I've seen those in every single store, literally ever. Those are, you can't go to you can't buy condoms without having to go and ask and be like, hey, can I get the key for the condoms, please? Can I, and they got to walk over. You want the key for the condoms? Okay. Walks over, and it's like, why do you even lock those up? God damn it. But this is the most normal thing ever. Get over it.
Part of
the way people should be living, right? And that includes
Oh my God. I had to ask a worker. I had to ask a worker to come and unlock something for me. Like, come on.
Small business and community advocate says these visible problems in her city are leading to renewed activism driven by residents, like the recall of the city's district attorney last year.
I think what we've seen, especially in the past couple of years,
sees
Whoa. What would you skip? We just skipping Tim?
As a systemic problem, from city leaders to an understaffed police force to the fentanyl crisis.
When you're seeing that level of retail theft, that tends to be subsistence level retail theft. People are hungry. People are hungry. There is a level of addiction playing out in many.
That is the most frustratingly insane thing anyone can say.
Somebody steals food. Tim goes, and keep in mind, these are people stealing like medicine, food, coffee, and keep in mind what's actually being stolen doesn't always like account one for what they lock down, right? And what the whole thing is like, hey, there are people stealing stuff because they need food, because they need resources, whatever it might be. And Tim comes in here and is like, oh, can't you see, like, these liberal cities, the crime is rising, and now people are having to live in a no police state. When in actuality, people are stealing some stuff. Now, is it a big deal? Is it like bad to steal stuff? No, you shouldn't steal stuff. Don't steal shit. But like, I don't think anybody who needs to get told that are people who can afford to buy shit. The people who need to be told don't steal shit are like probably don't have the capability to watch this show or any other show because they're probably homeless or incredibly desperate and probably need to feed their family, right? We already know that
exactly what's happening to them,
that, what's
and
it
I
called?
have no sympathy.
We already know that
subsistence theft, fake eyelashes, deodorant, Dayquil, spare me.
Okay, do you notice? Deodorant, Dayquil. Would we call those kind of, I don't know, necessities to get by on? Like deodorant, it's kind of useful. It's it's kind of the bare minimum you can do to keep yourself from not smelling like shit, right? Dayquil, keep yourself from not getting sick. I'm sure there are some people maybe abusing it, but again, that would also kind of be addiction. So they're chasing an addiction, right?
You want to make an argument about taking medicine for your illness as subsistence, that I get. Nobody likes being sick and feeling miserable, and you might need to work and you might be broke, but stealing is still wrong. But fake eyelashes?
Yeah, but maybe that's an argument for why we should decommodify some of this stuff. Maybe the system in which we live under isn't adequate for getting people their health care. Maybe we shouldn't paywall being not sick. Just saying.
Dude, nah, we're not playing that. Here's the reality. Shoplifting is legal, technically, in San Francisco.
I find Tim is way funnier on 1.25 speed.
Was it Florida? Let me ask you a question. Is it legal for a woman to parachute
He just
on
picks
Sunday
Florida.
in Florida? Many of you would probably say yes, but let me double check.
Precisely. So, okay. So, I mentioned earlier that we tied this into Anna Kasparian, and here's how. So, Tim does this entire story about, shoplifting, da-da-da-da. And I found it really interesting because Anna found the exact same story and had not too dissimilar of a take, I noticed.
Has been on an
1 second. Let me see if I can find the exact. It took away, it reloaded, and now my save point was gone. I'll have to bring up the thing. Let's see. Show transcript. Control F. Walgreens. Here we go.
A recent CNN report revealed San Francisco's dysfunction with a local Walgreens hit with 3 thefts in just 30 minutes.
Our Kyung-Hwa visited one Walgreens that's hit by shoplifters more than a dozen times a day.
My goodness, it's
3 times.
Same video too. I know, it's crazy.
While she was inside.
In the 30 minutes we were at this Walgreens,
I know it's deja vu.
we watched 3 people, including this man, steal. Did that guy pay?
Again, I'm gonna have the same reaction because
Did that guy pay?
Whoa, crazy.
He didn't pay.
Now, that store has been dubbed the most robbed Walgreens in the country. And I'm sure local political leaders must be super proud to foster the kind of environment necessary to win that honor.
I'm not sure
I'll
what
get to
this dig
more
is
on that
for.
in just a minute. But first, I want to get to the cover story that the left has fully bought into.
Here we go.
That these thieves are desperate, that they're living in poverty and have no choice but to steal because they need to feed their families.
So, Anna Kasparian shockingly comes to the same argument that Tim Pool does, that subsistence is not an explanation for a prevalence of retail theft, which is interesting. As far as I've ever been aware, we can pretty consistently explain a lot of theft, a lot of crime, a lot of these sorts of crime. You know, if you steal from a grocery store, you're probably because you're hungry, not because you were bored and you just kind of walked into a grocery store. There's probably a reason why you picked that store. And that seems like a pretty obvious, like, yeah, people steal apples because they're hungry. People steal medicine because they're sick. People steal deodorant because they're smelly. Like, that makes sense. But Anna somehow comes to Tim Pool's position on this one. So let's give her a chance to explain.
Now, first off, the assumption that crimes must be committed by the poor is, pretty damn defamatory toward disadvantaged individuals.
Okay. So do middle class, do people in the burbs steal? Like, really? No. We see crime track pretty consistently with poverty. And there's a reason for that. It's not because people who live in poverty are worse people or because they are not as morally upstanding. It's because they're poor and they're working and living with less resources, which will drive somebody to be just a little bit more desperate and willing to do things that rich people aren't. Stealing, committing crime for people who are wealthy just isn't worth it. You risk jail time. You risk not getting, you risk the resources you have for the many resources you have for the few resources you don't. Whereas for poor people, it's the opposite. So.
Secondly, that claim is, without merit. But let's compare economic rough patches and how they impacted crime. Let's look at the data. Take a look at this pretty incredible chart using data from the John Jay College of Criminal.
And also what's funny is I remember I actually saw this perfectly with what's the word? I remember I think in Emma Viglin's debate with Tim Pool about a month ago now. Actual Justice Warrior brought up this specific chart, to which let's see, what is it? Wasn't it like the 2008 financial crisis you didn't really see? Even though, like, keep in mind the let's let her make the argument
on crimes committed in New York City.
She'll make the same argument that he made
in 2022. Now, you'll notice that there isn't a notable spike in major commercial retail crimes during or immediately after the 2008 economic collapse.
Well, it's interesting you'd mention that 2008 to 2009. We'll take that all the way to 2012. There was certainly a jump. Seems like it was fairly consistent as to the rise that was going on. But let me ask you something. When the financial crash happened in 2008, what was the primary market and the primary people who were devastated by that? Was it poor people who didn't own homes, or was it middle-class Americans who now didn't own homes? This is, again, you're looking for data that says the thing you want it to say, but only if you decouple it from the context. Quite frankly, we wouldn't see a rise in specifically retail crime after the 2008-2009 financial crisis, because the people who lost out on those were homeowners. They weren't poor people around the world losing everything. This wasn't the Great Depression. This was people in the middle class and some in the lower middle class losing their homes and the financial institutions breaking down. But like, the damage wasn't done to poor people. Most poor people probably didn't even feel the impact of any of it. None of them own anything. Their rents probably went up at best, but that's mostly it seems like.
In other words, the economic desperation that Americans were experiencing during the last Great Recession.
And again, not all the class of people who commit retail crime are not the people who were the biggest victims of those
that there was a massive spike in retail
of that crash
crime during the COVID pandemic.
And then and then we see a huge spike in the COVID pandemic, to which it's kind of obvious, right? You know, when the financial crash happened, some middle class folks lost their homes, and some lower middle class people almost certainly lost their homes. But what happened during COVID? Everyone was like stuck inside. People were hoarding gasoline, hoarding toilet paper. We're all aware of this, right? Am I the only one who experienced going to the stores and nothing being on the shelves because our supply lines had broken down and everybody was going and buying in like 4 or 5 times excess? That's when you saw a lot more crime, is when resources became scarce and people took stuff. Because at the end of the day, you need things. You need toilet paper. You need soap. You need medicine. You need some of these things. So you're going to take them.
Perhaps just...
Now, all of that being said, all of this being said, Tim mentioned it and then brushed over it, right? But I want us to think for a moment. Both Anna Kasparian and Tim Pool come to the kind of the same general place, right? In terms of retail crime. And Anna brings a nice chart that even Tim isn't willing to bring any kind of data involved. But Anna brings a nice chart to visualize her point. Granted, it works a little bit against her favor once you kind of look into it. But I want to take a look at something that apparently both of them missed, which is this article from Vice. Quote, "We cried too much. Walgreens CFO says retail theft maybe isn't the crisis it portrayed." A top Walgreens executive admitted on Thursday that the U.S.'s second largest pharmacy chain may have overstated its concerns about the retail theft in stores. In an earnings call, as reported by CNBC, Walgreens Chief Financial Officer James Kehoe said that the company's retail theft numbers have dropped significantly and that it is now considering pulling back some of the additional store security measures. Maybe we cried too much. We're stabilized. Kehoe said that shrinkage, which refers to the inventory losses that companies account for due to factors such as theft, product damage, and vendor fraud, is now down to 2.5% from 3.5% last year. The executive admitted that the private security companies that were hired to address retail thefts have been largely ineffective and said the company could dial back those measures. Quote, we've put in incremental security in the stores in the first quarter. Actually, probably put in too much. We might step back a little bit from that. Kehoe's admission comes after the company claimed that organized retail crime was greatly affecting its business, a line that helped stoke a nationwide moral panic over a supposed wave of shoplifting. In 2021, Walgreens closed 5 locations in San Francisco, citing organized theft, which led politicians such as California Governor Gavin Newsom to take action by increasing the budget of the government's organized retail theft task force. Now, how do I say this? As somebody who's been I've been a Young Turks viewer for a good little bit now, and Anna did her story on the drug decriminalization in Portugal a couple weeks ago. It wasn't great. Other people have picked it apart. I'm not going to do that on here. I can, you can find other people to do that. But I want to put, I want to, with this, kind of exemplify a little bit the problem that I'm noticing, which is Tim Pool, we know, is a grifter, is somebody who will parrot whatever anti-woke talking point makes him the most amount of money. And for that, he ran with the story of Walgreens in San Francisco getting robbed 3 times. We didn't watch the full segment, but I have no doubt that he probably mentioned that what's it called? That they were closing 5 stores. Let me make sure I oh no, wait. If I do 5. Okay, here we go. No, I don't need that many. Location. Wall? No. 5? Did they spell it? Oh my god, when does she say it? Oh my god. I hate this. Did they say numbers on here? Do they spell them? Speaker 2, Chicago. No, they said 4. No, they still say 5. God, that's like the most cursed sound, isn't it? No, you're just gonna give me every. Oh wait. Is that it? Nope. 3,500. 500 annually. I just want to find it because she does mention it. I want to make sure I'm being accurate here. Did they spell it 5? Oh, there it is.
Since stores are closing in response to the uptick in organized retail theft, workers are losing their jobs. Walgreens alone has shut down 5 stores in San Francisco due to theft since the retail crime epidemic began.
Now, what I find disturbing about this more than anything is, again, this story was published in January of this year, meaning all Anna had to do was go and find this article. And somehow she missed it. I don't really know how. In July, Anna did a story on retail theft from 1 year ago and somehow missed that halfway through that time lapse. A story came out where they acknowledged that, no, this was overblown. And that's the part that I find curious. That's the part that I find curious. How is it that Anna Kasparian, somebody who's been very good about bringing receipts, she's been known to say that she brings her receipts. I don't know how she came as empty-handed as Tim Pool did on this one. But it's a bit worrisome, to say the least. It is a bit worrisome. Anyway, that's going to be the end of it tonight for me. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Appreciate everybody. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, hopefully normal time. Assuming I don't get called in because there's another work emergency or whatever. But either way, I will. If you're lurking in either of the chats, you should hit the coinciding follow or subscribe button. Just saying, it's the nice thing to do. Helps me out. Helps out the channel. Otherwise, if you could like the stream, that'd be cool, I guess too. If you're on something where you can like streams, do that. If you have there's a subreddit where a lot of leftists hang out. If you want to post one of my videos or spread the word, I'd be really appreciative of that too. And any support helps me out. Helps me do this as more than just a hobby, an unpaid hobby at that. But either way, everyone have a nice night. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye.